Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Forestry and Sawmill Roundtable. Tonight we are joined by Michael Wilson, Steve Bailey, John Davison, and Tim and I at Two Brothers Outdoors. Welcome to our forum. Tonight we're going to be talking about different species of trees from different areas in the United States. We got Michael will be representing the Pacific Northwest. Steve will be representing the Mid-Atlantic and Southern, and John will be representing the
Midwest.
And Tim and I will be representing the Northeast. So I guess what we're going to do is start out real quick, and we'll get each one of you to describe some of the trees that you cut and market, and we'll keep it short, and then you can start asking questions, and we'll go from there. Michael, you want to start?
Yeah, first of all, can you hear the wind in my microphone? The breeze just came up as soon as we went live.
Just a little bit, not bad.
Okay, let me know if it gets bad. I'll go inside. The primary wood we have out here is Douglas fir. We have tons of Douglas fir. That's mostly what I've marketed for lumber. A little bit of ponderosa pine, a little bit of incense cedar. That covers all the lumber I've done, I think. Firewood, we have some of the best firewood there is, some of the best hardwood, which is madrone. It only grows along the west coast. We've got a few oak species, black oak, California black oak, Oregon white oak, a little bit of live oak, but most of it's not big enough or straight enough to make lumber out of. That covers what I've done anyway.
Steve?
Mostly pine, a lot of pine in this area. We have some black walnut, a lot of poplar. The tulip poplar, people like the rainbow poplar, but the most marketable thing probably is the black walnut. Everybody's after black walnut around here.
Now the pine species you have, I'm not trying to interrupt, is that southern yellow pine?
Southern yellow pine, Virginia pine. That's primary what's around here. It's not marketable too much. There's so much of it, nobody wants too much of it, but there's tons of it around here. That's what they replant around here is yellow pine, southern pine, Virginia pine.
Gotcha.
But what sells the most is white oak and black walnut. Red oak sells a little bit, but we have a lot of red oak too, but not as much as poplar and pine.
John?
And the southern yellow pine, when you say it's not marketable, that's because big box stores can do it cheaper? Or
yeah.
because nobody wants it?
Everybody around here has gotten, I mean, they don't like pine.
They don't like pine.
Yeah. They just got a bad, I don't know where it's a bad area. Just people just got a bad taste for pine, or I think mostly if they go to the store and they buy a pine two before and it turns into a pretzel tomorrow morning, that's the end of pine.
Right. You can't even market it like in 8x8s or anything like that.
Mostly, I'll say most if you sell pine, you're going to sell pine beams, maybe 8x8 beams, 12x12 beams, or something like that. And that's just very seldom because it's hard to build around here with it. And, the counties won't let you build too much stuff around here.
Right.
Anything you build. Used to be, they just changed the law on the 100 square foot. Now you can build something with 200 square foot with no permit. But you got to have permit for anything over 200 square foot, and the wood's got to be graded. And they're really strict, so you're limited on what you can sell all you want, but most of it they're going to use it for dog pens, chicken coops, fence boards, stuff like that.
Right.
Well, you got locusts there, don't you, Steve?
Yeah, very little locust.
How about maple?
Maple, you have some maple. You don't get a lot of it because a lot of people don't cut the maples down. They don't cut the walnuts down. So, and the tree services cut down the white oaks and all that, but it's hard to get because they keep it for firewood. They won't get rid of it.
John, what do you have in your area?
And I got one more question. Sorry.
Yeah.
And your maple is hard maple or soft maple?
We have both.
Both.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah.
So my area, white oak is big, of course, and the walnut is big. White oak right now is selling for more than walnut is right now. It's
Yeah.
worth
White
more.
oak in this area is selling for more than what walnut is right now.
Yeah.
And the thing is, you just can't get a hold of it because the tree service is cutting it, won't give it up unless you want to pay top dollar, and you couldn't get no money out of it by the time you got done.
Right.
They keep it for firewood in the wintertime.
I don't want
That's
to pay
their
for it.
income for winter.
I don't want to pay for it. But I don't know. I think probably black cherry is probably my biggest seller, right now. I can sell it cheaper than I can sell white oak, or cheaper than I can sell walnut, just because there's a little bit more of it available. But I do a lot of red oak. Red oak is everywhere around. Red oak is not cheaper than pine, but it's more prolific than pine is around here. Because the only pine we have here is the white pine, and you can't do a 2x4 out of white pine. They break at the knot. 2x6s will probably break at the knot.
Yeah.
So, but I do the white pine. We'll do in like 8x8 beams and stuff like that. A lot of 4x4, white pine 4x4s, and white pine 8x8s. What else? The ash, of course, is gone. The ash is gone everywhere. We have sycamore, but I can't get a hold of any of that yet. I've got a hold of very little of that. I'd love to quarter saw some sycamore. We have the black locust, and it's always rotten in the center. It's just characteristic of black locust. But if you can find a good black locust post, that's worth, some money. And then we have a hedge, Osage orange, and that's everywhere in the middle of these big farmers' fields that we have. That's what they used as windrows. Instead of planting bushes or something to stop the wind, that's what they planted, was these hedge trees. And but the problem with them is they're not straight, and they're out in the wind because they're made to stop the wind, from blowing. So they have a lot of stress in them, and they're not straight in those rows. But I love cutting a hedge and love getting a hold of hedge. What else? I don't know. I mean, I've cut a lot of other things. We have the maple, but I'm always looking for soft maple. Nobody wants to buy soft maple unless it's salted, unless it's ambrosia maple, which is, killed by I don't even know if it's killed by the ambrosia beetle. I don't think that's what it's called, but killed by some beetle, and then it leaves the stain in the oak tree, the soft maple, and they call it ambrosia maple. I don't know if it's the ambrosia beetle that kills it. Maybe it is. And then the bird's eye maple. You can get the bird's eye maple, and that's just the way the tree was grown. It's not like a specific type of tree. It's just it's the little bird's eye pinhole. They look like pinholes, but they're not pinholes, and just all in it. Looks like a bird's eye.
Right.
And it's just the way the tree grows. And that's, high dollar stuff too. And if you can get that, you can market that pretty easy. Ambrosia or bird's eye or spalted maple, you can sell that around here pretty easy. I don't know what else. I don't know what else I sell.
How much cedar you got there?
How much what? Cedar? I have 0 cedar here. Wait,
I got a lot of eastern cedar.
If we have eastern red cedar, it's only because somebody planted it in their yard. It doesn't. What's weird is, 3 hours north of me in Michigan, they got forest of it, and probably 5-6 hours south of me in Missouri, they've got just forest of cedar. So the cedar that I did in that last video with the cedar posts on his deck or on his front porch. That was, I trucked that in from Missouri and built my deck out of it and then sold the rest of it to make my money back. But you can market that real easy around here. I'd love to have another load of cedar.
That's good around here. I forgot about it. Eastern red cedar is real good around here.
Yeah, it's a beautiful wood, and it's great ground contact wood, great outdoor wood, and it's basically already dried. You can sand that off and put it in your house.
Yep.
Start building your furniture out of it because it's already basically dried. If you don't get any bugs in it, you don't need to kiln dry it.
Well, I know that Osage orange that you're talking about, that's a big wood for bowyers. They like to build bows out of that. Quarter sawn sells pretty fast from what I understand.
Right. So the problem is, you need to start off with I sold 3 Osage orange logs for bows, guys who were going to make bows out of them. And they want the whole log around here and they want to split it themselves. They don't want you to quarter it because they want to split it. When you saw it, you're sawing straight through the grain. When you split it, it follows the grain when they split it. And then they make their bows out of it. The problem is, to get a nice Osage orange log that hasn't twisted, you know what I mean, or isn't curved, isn't bent already in a straight 7-foot section for a longbow. A 6-foot longbow, you need a straight 7-foot section of hedge. And and then you're talking, and just an 8-inch log, you're talking $500 for it, in log form,
Right.
So it's good money if you can find it. I took out probably 300 yards of hedgerow and I found 3 logs that were 8 foot long straight, and that was it in 300 yards.
So in the great Northeast, we're kind of lucky here. We've got a lot of species of hardwoods. Our most marketable ones are cherry and hard maple. Cherry is very easy to get rid of. We have walnut, but unfortunately we can't get our hands on any. But 10, 15 miles south of us, it grows all over on the farms. But like you guys are talking about, people think they have gold. They'll take down a log and they want $200 for a log that's not big enough to make anything out of hardly. And we have white pine, we have spruce, and we have hemlock. Hemlock is one of our largest sellers. It's kind of rot resistant, eastern hemlock. There is a difference between eastern hemlock and western hemlock. But eastern hemlock is one of the harder softwoods, pines, and we sell a lot of that. We sell a lot of white pine for siding. We have large spruce trees. We really haven't got a market on that right now, so we don't cut any down.
When you say spruce, you talking like blue spruce or?
No, well, we do have blue spruce. Those are worthless. We do have a white spruce.
White spruce.
Not the same spruce they have out west. The Sitka spruce is different, but we do have big spruce trees here, and it does make nice lumber. But right now we don't have a market for it, so we don't cut it. We have yellow birch. That's a marketable hardwood. And ash, which we're losing our ash pretty quickly to the ash borer beetle. So we're taking trees down that are dying and getting the wood out of it while we can.
Well, we also have a lot of crafters, and we have the yellow birch, which is a pretty wood. We've also taken, gosh, I can't remember what's that other the ones we're losing there, Rick, with the fungus?
Beech.
Beech, yeah.
Well, beech isn't really a marketable wood. Beech makes a good strong wood, but it twists while it's drying. It's a very poor wood to use. But we also have soft maple. We have as much soft maple as we do hard maple.
Oh, really? I didn't realize that.
And We used to
Someone-
have very large swamps of red cedar, but those swamps are long gone. They've taken the cedar down for poles and, of course, boards. And I don't know of any cedar swamps that stand anymore. Used to be a very, very big wood up here.
And we have a few swamp ash that they make guitars and stuff out of. We've got a few of those.
Swamp ash is the same as a white ash, but it grows, its roots grow in water, and it makes it a very dense wood. It makes it denser than ash that grows up on a hill. So it's a very sought after wood to build musical instruments.
Are they susceptible to the borers too?
Yes, they are.
Unfortunately,
It's basically the same tree. It's just one grows with its roots in the water and the other one grows on the hill. Now you got Sitka spruce out west, Mike. I know, Michael. I know you don't have any dealings with it, but that's a big wood for airplane builders.
What were you telling me? Something like $30 a foot for that?
Yes, it's very,
Or-
very expensive.
I don't remember what the dimension was, but makes me wish I had a lot of it.
Yeah, they quarter saw it up, and then of course it has to be inspected. It has to pass an FAA grade inspection. But if it passes that inspection, it is very, very expensive.
It grows more to the north of here. We do have it on the coast, but a lot of it we have on the coast has a lot of big knots in it. A lot of it is open grown. I don't know if that would be, I don't know if there'd be a lot of clear stuff that would be good for airplanes.
Yeah. But a lot of trees, we found a lot of trees that appear to have a lot of knots on them. Once you get down into the tree a little bit, maybe 2 or 3 inches, the knots disappear.
I just had that with a hard maple I
Right.
cut up last week.
Yeah, he cut up a knotty maple, and once he got down into the cant, the knots actually disappeared.
Someone's asking box elder, Rick.
We don't have we have a species they call elder here, but I don't think it's box elder.
That's
Well,
the
Nate-
most prolific wood in North America, box elder.
Anything
When they
out-
make airplanes out of spruce, do they use that for the structure of the plane? What do they use it for?
Yeah, they use it for the wing spars, they use it for the wing ribs, and they actually use it for the structure of the plane. I'm trying to think. Piper Cubs had a lot of spruce in it, and a lot of what they call home builts or experimental airplanes. And then of course everybody knows about the spruce goose that can't think of his name. The rich guy there built.
Howard Hughes.
Howard
Hughes.
Hughes, yes. I would like to welcome our friends at X. I see we got quite a few people here from X. I don't know if you can comment directly to YouTube. You're supposed to be able to, but if you have any questions, feel free to ask. I've got another computer set up here on X, so I can see if it doesn't show up on YouTube, it will show up on this other computer.
I just chatted in X for you.
Oh, did you? Did
Yep,
it come up?
that's
Oh,
that
it
one
did
in
come
chat
up.
right there is
I see it.
chatting X.
Oh, good. Thanks, John. Okay, so you guys
It
out
does
there,
work.
you guys out there in X, if you want to ask a question, feel free to ask. If you want to say hello, go ahead and say hello. And if you have a specific question for any of us, go ahead and say, I got a question for Michael Wilson, or I have a question for Steve Bailey, and we will turn the floor right over to them to answer your question. Otherwise, just say hello. Let us know where you're from. We've got over 30 people on here right now, and we'd like to get acquainted. So the Douglas fir, that is the second. I think that's pretty hard. That's a pretty hard softwood, isn't it, Michael?
It's one of the hardest softwoods available. Douglas fir, I think Western larch is close to that hardness.
Okay.
And it might have been you who told me that Eastern hemlock is just under that. Somebody did.
Yeah, Eastern hemlock's pretty hard too. But I think that I know the Douglas fir is harder.
Yeah. We also have a lot of other firs out. Well, I should say we have a lot of true firs here. Douglas fir, some people don't realize, is not actually a fir. But on the West Coast, we have grand fir, which is the biggest fir in the world. We have white fir, noble fir, Shasta fir, red fir. Trying to think of the other ones. There's a lot of different ones here. You get up into the mountains, you get a lot of diversity of different firs. Alpine fir, subalpine fir.
Gotcha.
And
Now, where are the
and you're
redwood?
into. Sorry, go ahead, Tim.
The
Where are the
redwoods, there's
redwood?
two different types of redwoods. There's the Sequoia redwood, which is in the southern part of the Sierras,
Yep.
internal California. Then along the coast is the coast redwoods.
Those are the huge ones, right?
Well, actually, the biggest one is the Sequoia redwood, the
Sequoia.
General Sherman tree, the biggest known living single tree. They get bigger in diameter and have more actual mass, whereas the coast redwoods are tall. The tallest tree in the world is a coast redwood. It was believed the tallest tree in the world was probably a Douglas fir, probably in BC, but it was likely logged a long time ago. So redwood is now the tallest tree, 300 some feet, I think.
All right. So we have a question on the board here. Anybody can answer this who wants to. What is the most difficult? Let me put it up here. What is the most difficult cut you have made on a customer's request? Michael, I guess we can start with you.
I haven't had a lot of requests. A lot of times I just cut what I cut and then put it up for sale. Probably the most difficult, someone wanted a whole bunch of 1x3s, I think. I needed them to be clear, not have big knots, at least have small knots so they wouldn't break. If you have a moderate sized knot on a 1x3, it's going to break. I had a time crunch on it. I had several prospective trees I wanted to take. Cut one down, ended up having a bunch of big knots. Cut the other one down, ended up having rot inside. Cut another one down. I think it had knots too. It was just a big scramble. But I don't have any. I'll try to think about this and try to think if I have a better example of that. As we
Steve?
move on to the next one.
Steve?
Probably the worst, the one I've had the most difficult was a gentleman that wanted a 34-inch wide cookies out of a 35-inch wide log. About 4 foot tall. We got it, but it was a blast. It was rough.
Gotcha. John?
So the most difficult cut was a lot different than what I want to say. And so the most difficult cut was when I put the resaw on there and was trying to resaw some kiln dried oak and some kiln dried cherry. And that 10-degree blade just did not want to go through that, kiln dried wood.
Yep.
It just burned it. It was burning. No matter how much diesel I put to it, it was just burning that kiln dried wood. So I'm gonna have to get a carbide blade to cut that kiln dried wood. So that was the most difficult cut per se. But what I want to say is, I don't know if it's the most difficult, but what I want to say is, I had the best time cutting a red oak log that he wanted the offcut. He wanted the offcut of the red oak log, and he wanted it to come out at this end. He wanted it to come out 6 inches, and at the far end, he wanted it to come out 6 inches. And the log had a nice taper in it. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And so you're not trying to level the log, and you're not trying to get it level. You're trying to level 6 inches down, you know what I mean, from each end of the log. And it was just a
From each
weird,
end of the log.
right. It was just a weird cut. But it was the most fun. And I guess it was difficult, you know, but it was a lot of fun trying to figure out how I'm going to get each end of that log, you know what I mean, at the right thing to come out 6 inches at the other end.
Right, right.
You know, and then I had to flip it over 180 and get 6 inches off the other side of the log also, you know, on each end to come out. So in the middle, you're ended up, the board that you have left is this thick down here, and it's this thick down here, you know, which was no good, and I just trashed it. But he wanted the offcuts off of each end of it. It was challenging and fun, you know.
Gotcha.
Rick?
Steve's laughing.
I think the most difficult customers cut we've done is we had a bunch of reclaimed barnwood. And we warned the customer ahead of time, if we hit nails, you're responsible for the blade. He didn't care. And we had 16, 18-foot 2x4s that he wanted to cut down to 1 inch thick. We had barn beams he wanted to make siding out of. And it was pretty much a whole barn. And we went through quite a few blades doing that. But we made the customer happy and he paid.
I think the toughest one I've ever done on the smaller mill, the Patriot, was that order that we had for the Black Locust. Remember we were cutting into 4x4s?
Yeah.
That cut my fanny because I had the smaller logs. So instead of getting 2 or 3 4x4s out of a log, I was only able to get one. And they were bananing on me and twisting and turning. And that was my most difficult one.
I don't know. I can think of another one that you weren't real happy with, and that was the short maple logs you sawed up into slabs for the wood burner guy.
Oh yeah, for Brady. Yeah,
I think that was the very first thing you ever did.
Yeah, they look like headstones. Yeah, he cut them like, I don't even think they were 12 inches long. All those rounds he gave me, and he wanted them cut up. And me being new, I said, "Oh yeah, I'll do it. I'll do it." Boy, I regret it, but you know, I got it done like in 2 hours. He had like 30 of them, and he came out and he couldn't believe it. He goes, "Here, let me give you a tip." He gave me 50 extra bucks for it. So
That's what I was saying about the cookies. Oh, I got this.
I got this, no problem. Nope.
But
4
yeah,
hours later.
On video, it looked like your cookies turned out quite well. Looked
Yeah,
like you
4
cut those
hours later.
smooth.
how you keep them from splitting, Steve?
Huh?
How do you keep them from checking?
From splitting?
Yeah, checking. Yeah.
Oh, I don't. Well, how it wasn't mine. It was White Oak, the guy I was milling up for him, and he had that log, and it was only about 3.5 foot tall, and he wanted it. His wife wanted 4-inch cookies or 3-inch cookies. I forget what it was right off the exam, but
Gotcha.
I don't know. I don't know if they split on him or not, but I just had it was a challenge. Like I knew it wasn't gonna fit on the mill. There wasn't no way of clamping it down. And I thought there's got to be a way. I mean, I'm not going to leave this till I do it. So I end up getting it between the 2 bunks, and then I had to take the chainsaw and cut a hole in one corner of it to stick the dog up in it to clamp it down against the back. Anyway, it was a 4-hour job that turned into a no-pay job.
Yeah.
Because I did it just for the challenge.
I think one of our favorite requests, you get people that come up here from lower state and they walk into a local bar, and almost every bar up here has what they call an out around deck bar. It's a live edge bar. They're usually about 3 inches thick. They're made out of white pine, but these people have no idea what they're made out of. So they'll contact us and they'll tell me, I need a piece of cherry, 4 inches thick, 12 inches long, and I don't know, 36, 37 inches wide. And I'm like, okay, how are you going to pick it up? And they don't make trees that big in the forest. Sorry.
I just went through that.
And you tell them we can book match some for you so that and cut one side flat so you can put them together. No, we want one solid piece.
I think I just
Michael?
did a video on that where the guy, I cut the white oak, one of them 3 inches thick, 18-foot long, 34-inch wide. Come with a Toyota pickup to pick them up all at one time, the whole log. I'm like, ain't happening. Yeah, you can't. And then he tried to pick one log, one slab up, and that wasn't happening. So we ended up recutting them all in half.
Well, about 23 years ago, 24 years ago, we had a major run on black cherry and hard maple. It was bringing $5 to $6 a board foot green. And I don't think there was a black cherry or a hard maple left standing in the private sector's woods, you know. And now people want big pieces, and it's just like it does not exist.
Michael, do you get a lot of red rod in the firs over there on the West Coast?
I don't know that we have what you call red rot. We call it white speck. Now, on a video I did showing white speck, someone told me that that's similar to red rot, but it's like the name says, it's white, just little white dots all over in the wood, little white soft spots.
Yep.
I don't know if that's the same as red rot or not.
I think it probably is. White pine, the wood is very white. And if you cut one down and you look at the center and it's real red, they call it red rot. And when you get into it, it's like you said, it's red. It's got white specks all through it, which the specks, I believe, are probably some kind of fungi.
Yeah, it's the fungus. And if it has it, you can see conchs on the outside of the tree, usually right around a knot.
Yep.
Or right around a dead branch.
I don't know. We've cut down some white pine, Tim, that I thought was perfect. And then you find red rot 30 feet up into the tree. It's like unbelievable.
Lord, we had a rash, and remember that whole line that we cut down? That was it was probably 4 or 5 in a row that had red rot. I couldn't believe it. They're beautiful trees.
And the white speck, that happens in Douglas fir a lot.
Does it?
Pine gets it too.
So the Doug fir is just like southern yellow pine around here. It's just it's just the go-to wood.
It's the go-to wood. It's what we have the most of. It's what people want the most. It's the best construction wood. A lot of the forest land along the coast has been clear cut years ago. All the species that used to be there aren't there anymore in those clear cuts because they just planted it exclusively to Douglas fir because that's what people want. Except in some cases they want cedar and things like that. But they've tried to discourage a lot of hemlock, a lot of white fir, things that just aren't as valuable. This is Douglas fir country. And it's a little bit hard to market any other wood around here because people want Douglas fir, unless it's for visual reasons.
I know Douglas fir in like Home Depot and Lowe's around here in the Northeast, it sells for $1 more a board foot than regular spruce or pine. And son of a gun, I lost my train of thought. Thanks.
Well, we weren't interrupting you to
well, there's another question here. Isn't fir good for trailer decking?
I think every trailer I have with a wooden floor has fir on it. Doug fir. Douglas fir only. If it was white fir or a true fir, it would not be good. It would rot, and it's really soft. Yeah. White fir, grand fir, really soft, lightweight, rot-prone wood.
So Doug fir is a good outside or ground contact wood, or
it's marginal for ground contact. If for ground contact out here, people want red cedar.
Red cedar.
And people that don't know what they're doing will use incense cedar thinking it's going to be as good as red cedar, but it's not quite as good. It's better than Douglas fir if you get the heartwood, but western red cedar is what we want for ground contact.
And you cut up some of that madrone too, didn't you, as firewood? Or I mean as lumber?
Yeah, I did one. And it's it's probably dry now. It's not straight. It's not as crooked. It's not like pretzels the way I thought it was going to be, but it's warped a little bit. But I think it'll be good enough if you planed a 1/4 inch off of each side, you could get a straight board out of it.
And how'd the black oak? I know you did some black oak too.
The black oak, I haven't got a good look at it, but from what I see, it's cracking a lot. There are a lot of cracks through it.
Yeah.
You were talking about bows. Out here, we have a tree called Pacific Yew, Y-E-W. It's one of the few conifers that has what looks like a berry. It doesn't grow very big, but it's well known for being used for bows. Grows a lot along creeks, riparian areas in the shade. Grows really slow. It's a dense, soft wood. They use it for bows and fence posts because it's pretty rot resistance. It's just there's not a lot of it because they're so small. There's also a chemical in it called Taxol they used for fighting ovarian cancer until they developed a synthetic version. Yeah, people were going out in the woods and just cutting them down, stripping the bark off just to get the Taxol out of them.
I gotcha.
But I think they've got a artificial or a synthetic version of it now. Another tree I forgot that I have marketed a little bit is sugar pine. And that was just out of one big sugar pine that died, blue sugar pine slabs. It made some beautiful slabs. But I'd like to be able to market more ponderosa, more sugar pine, trees like that, but it's hard to sell them because people want Douglas fir.
You guys get a chance, check out your private chat. I just sent a message out there.
I'm not looking.
Got it.
I said,
You-
look, John.
You got to look, John. Look.
I'm not looking. I
Hey,
refuse
look.
to look. I refuse.
He wants to look. Oh, I know what I was going to tell you, Michael, that they planted a lot of trees like you're talking about. They planted what they call red pine here in large acreage, and they use that for telephone poles. The tree the tree grows very straight and very tall, and they use those for poles. But they're not really great for anything else.
We run across a few of them every now and then.
Do they smell like camphor when you're cutting them?
Yeah, they're bad.
Yeah, they got like a camphor smell.
Yeah.
So what's the worst smelling wood?
Oh boy, hemlock.
Ash.
Hemlock.
Yeah.
Hemlock smells like ash.
Out here, it's black oak, California black oak. That one I cut up, it had a little bit of a vomitous smell to it. I've cut up a lot of black oak into firewood, and they've had funky smells, but the one I happened to put on the sawmill was the worst one ever. I think I even downplayed it a little bit on the video. I could have gone a little more dramatic on it. And that white fir I just cut up, that has a little bit of a funky smell to it too. I have my white fir cloves that I use for cutting that up, and I set them aside, reserved for white fir, because after I cut that up, they're going to smell like old white fir.
Yeah, the red oak, anything in the red oak family, you know, to me, red oak, black oak, pin oak, any of that smells like cat piss. All
Red
smells
oak
like
and pin oak is really bad.
Yeah, it just smells like cat piss to me.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
PP.
You cut up that cottonwood or that willow around here, the willow trees that grow in the ditch.
Yeah.
And they hold so much water, you know, in them that it comes pouring out of them when you cut it. And so it just smells like the whole wood smells like stagnant water. You know, that old stagnant pond or something you have around. It's just
right.
nasty, stagnant water that's pouring right out of the wood.
That's
you know,
sycamore. That's sycamore around here.
Sycamore does that?
Yeah, around here it does. It's nastiest wood. I'll never cut no more of it.
Really?
It's the worst wood I've ever cut.
You ever quarter sawn any?
It's the worst wood I've ever cut, no matter which way you sawed it.
Really?
What is that?
If
what
you're
wood is
looking
that? I
at
missed
pretzels, Christmas time pretzels, And the yard ornaments, you can do all you want.
It's
That's
supposed to be. It's supposed to be nice quarter sawn, isn't it?
What
No?
I've cut ain't.
Huh.
It is hard to dry. It don't want to. It's got a mind of its own. It wants to move wherever it wants to move.
Now we were talking about swamp ash earlier, and when you're cutting that, it smells like swamp ash.
Yeah.
Not when I'm wearing my mask. It's not.
Bob
And,
Frazier knows about white fur. It's called piss fur.
Yes, I see that.
The thing is, if you get a true fir that's not rotten or doesn't have that smell, it's one of the best smelling trees there is. But you get one that stinks, and I don't know what happens, but that good smell turns into bad.
Really. We have a lot of hickory in our area. We haven't sawn any yet. We don't have any on our property, but south of us a little bit, they have a lot of what they call shagbark hickory. You guys got any hickory in your areas?
Yeah, we have. I forgot that we have a lot of hickory here.
Doesn't that have like a purple heart?
It's good to cut that stuff. Soon they cut it down, you better start milling. You let
So
it dry.
Steve, Steve's holding out on us.
Yeah,
Yes.
we got so many around here. It's crazy to try.
And
I think we got 45 or 65 just oak trees, different species of oak.
yeah.
I didn't know there was that many species of oak.
Huh?
Oh yeah.
I didn't know there was that many species of oak.
Over 600
Really?
across the United
Yep.
States.
Yep.
400 and some just right on the East Coast. And we got
Well, we
over
just-
65 right here in my area.
We just cut up a red oak, and that smelled good. I enjoyed the smell of that one.
Red oak?
I got about
Yeah.
Oh no.
I got about 20 red oak logs, about 35 inches across, 12-foot long.
There are different varieties of red oak.
Yeah.
California black oak is a red oak.
Right.
Does it?
Then there's eastern red oak, eastern black oak. I don't know how many species. I think pin oak is a type of red oak,
Yep.
if I'm
Pin
Yeah,
oak is a
correct
red
on
oak.
that.
Yep. And
Now,
it's hard to keep track of all of them.
Yeah.
when we cut hard maple, we have to get the sawdust off it immediately and get it stickered. Otherwise, it gets what they call blue stains on it from the sawdust. It starts to mold.
Yep.
And we just, for the first time, we sawed red oak this, I guess, in the last week and a half or so. We scraped it and stickered that, and I noticed little black specks showing up on the red oak. And I ended up putting a fan on it to get air moving across it. Is anybody familiar with that?
Yeah, it's the little specks of black
Yes.
are from your blade.
Yep.
Okay.
Anytime it touches metal, that's what it is. Next time you're sharpening your chainsaw by hand,
Yes.
do it on top of a piece of red oak,
Okay.
Really?
and the flakes from the metal flakes will just be everywhere, black stained in all that red oak.
I think that's a reaction to the tannin in the wood.
Yep. It is.
Yep.
Right.
It
Yeah, there's a
absolutely is.
lot of tannin in red oak.
Yep.
Now
We have a wood called tan oak that does that really bad here.
really.
Yeah,
Tan?
they call it tan oak because they used to harvest the bark off of it to make tannin for tanning leather.
That's what they did with hemlock in the Adirondacks. They just about cut all the hemlock out of the Adirondacks back at the turn of the century for that very same reason.
I have that problem on my mill because the rails are not stainless steel. It's bare metal now that the paint's wore off. So where it sits on the rail, it's going to have a black or a bluish, it's actually more of a bluish stain.
Yep. And when you pick them up with the forks on the tractor, I put them on the forks of the tractor, and boom, they're stained.
Now, will that stand out?
Yeah, it'll stand out.
Okay, so
But
it doesn't hurt the wood.
No.
No,
As
it's just
long
the
as you
outer
don't-
edge.
As
It's an
long as you
instant
don't let it
thing.
sit there too long. I've had
Right.
it where if you let it sit more than an hour, it's going to be real deep.
Yeah. It's just like
ain't seen
that.
it out.
It's just like the bolt that you found in it. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? The longer it stays in it, the more it's gonna.
Yeah,
Go
Lord,
through
that
that
was
tree.
stained. That was stained deep.
Yep.
I'm interested to saw that log and find out how far up that stain goes in the log because I cut it right at the bowl.
Right.
Now somebody asked a question
Yep.
there, Steve. Steve, you've sawed hickory, haven't you?
Oh yeah, a lot of hickory.
Can you see the question on the board there?
Yeah. That's what I was saying a while ago. Hickory, when you cut it down, you better start milling.
Evil.
If you let it dry,
Is it-
I've had it where you go through a 10-foot log, say 22-inch log, you're going to use a blade per log.
No
Is it
kidding.
as bad as locust?
Yep. Probably worse.
That. Yeah, that's what they say. I mean, they say that
Hickory is bad. I hate cutting. I usually try not to even cut hickory.
that hickory in like the black locust, I think on the Jenga scale, it might be harder than hickory or as hard as hickory. And same with the hedge, you know what I mean? It's up there.
Yeah.
But they say sawmilling that hickory is way worse than hedge or black locust.
Even if it's fresh cut green.
Even
No.
if it's fresh cut green.
I've had, if it's fresh cut green, I've had
It's-
pretty good luck with it. But if it's set for, say, a month or more, I refuse to cut it
Now,
unless you want to buy a box of blades.
does anybody on here know what shore pine is?
Shore pine.
I've heard of it.
Lodge
That's
pole,
about all I know.
lodgepole pine.
Lodgepole. Is that
Lodgepole grows here in the west in the mountains.
right?
I think that's shore pine.
Grows a long way from any shore.
Well,
Sure enough.
Sure enough.
Sure enough does. Grows in the south. Sure enough.
all right, it's the same as lodgepole pine.
Sure enough.
Now, lodgepole pine grows in your area, Michael?
Not on any of my properties. It grows in the higher elevations up in the mountains, around Crater Lake, etc., and a lot in the Rockies. A lot of it in the Rockies.
What's the
And-
characteristics of it that make it stick out?
It doesn't get very big, and it's used for poles, small poles. It can be used for making log cabins. It gets to be about log cabin size. That's about as big as you typically find it. Yellowstone. When Yellowstone burned, that was lodgepole pine. It has a very short lifespan. It's made to burn, kill everything. When it burns, it reseeds, grows back really thick. It has a really nice smell to it. If you cut that green or cut up the foliage, that's a really nice smell.
Okay.
It's more of a dense pine. Makes really good firewood. Better than ponderosa and a lot of other pines.
All right. So
It's a 2-needle pine, 2 needles per bundle.
yeah. All right. I'm going to throw a question out there, and I'll answer for us last. What's the best smelling wood that you've milled? Mike, we'll start with you.
Sugar pine.
Steve?
Eastern aroma cedar.
Dave,
Boy,
John?
cedar.
Cedar?
Well, now you got to go with cherry.
Cherry?
You got to go with black cherry because it just makes you hungry. It smells just like
Ugh.
fruit. You gotta go
Ew.
eat. Man, it makes you hungry. I gotta go eat a pie or something.
Black cherry pie.
Cherry pie, it's something. It makes me want to go eat a pie. I gotta go make some kind of pie. I don't care.
Cherry?
Cherry. Yep, black cherry. I gotta
Wow.
go make a pie. I love the
Does it smell like cherries at all?
No.
No,
No.
it has a fruity smell though to me, and that's what makes me think to go eat some kind of pie, a peach pie. I don't
Did
care
you
if it's
say?
peach pie,
Did you
apple
say?
pie.
Did you say fruity or pruny?
Fruity?
Oh,
Fruity.
I thought you said pruny.
Does this cherry grow edible fruit?
It
Black
does.
cherry.
It does, but it's the seed is so large that you don't get much.
Right.
You don't get much meat off the cherries. Bears
Not a-
love it.
Bears like it. Yeah.
Not a marketable fruit.
No.
It's
Bears will
it's like
climb up there.
the hackberry. You have hackberry? No.
Ooh,
We don't have hackberry. I saw hackberry when I was in Oklahoma.
Yeah, the hackberry seed is edible too, but 3/4 of its seed. You know, nobody wants to put a little bitty berry in their mouth, and 3/4 of it they have to spit out. You know, so that's what the black cherry is.
the best smelling wood that we cut is sugar maple or hard maple. They call it sugar maple here in the Northeast. And it has a very, very, very sweet smell.
It smell like syrup.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I guess you could say it does. It really has a great smell to it.
Mm-hmm. Not like
No.
cherry.
Yeah, it doesn't want you to go out. Doesn't make you want to go out and eat a pie or anything, but it does have a nice smell.
But I will lick that wood.
Sassafras has a good smell to it too. If you like sassafras.
Yeah, it's like root beer.
Yep.
I've never cut that. I'd like to cut that. I don't know. Does it
Sassafras?
get big enough?
Man, they had the guy that I did milled with for 3 years in town there. He had a sassafras guy bringing the sassafras that was probably 30 inches round. And
Wow.
I said, well, there's no way, because my sassafras get 10 or 12, 14 inches, and the whole center of them solid or rotten all the way up. I said, well, there's no way that sassafras is solid all the way up. And it was solid at both ends. He put it on the mill and it was solid sassafras the whole way, 25, 30 inches of that all the way across was just solid sassafras. And he made a kitchen counter out of it. It's nice wood, it turns into the shit brown, really horrible color. But once you stain it and get it, to some other color, it's a beautiful grained wood.
Now, Michael, in your area, do you have aspen?
Not in my area, but up in the high mountains, more east of the Cascades. From the Cascades east is where you find them, to the Rockies.
Right.
It's abundant. Some places out in the high desert, it's the only real tree there is, if you can get a wet spot. Quaking aspen.
We have a tree here they call popple, but it's aspen. It leaves turn yellow. And the trees get pretty big, but when you cut it down, the center is rotten every single time.
There are some measurements that say one of the biggest living things on Earth is an quaking aspen.
Is that
It's
right?
not a single tree, but a grove that's many, many acres, because they'll sprout up from the roots, then they spread, and you can have a whole forest that's just one tree.
Wasn't elm that way too? Is it elm?
Not sure.
No, not elm. Sassafras is that way. Willow is that way.
I think elm sprouts off the roots too.
Black locust is that way.
Black locust does.
Yep.
What tree was? Oh,
Beech sprouts off the
thinking.
roots.
Maybe I'm thinking chestnut trees.
Maybe.
Sprouts
I
off
don't
the
know.
roots.
I don't think you're thinking elm.
Maybe it's chestnut. We have an elm here they call slippery elm. You've ever seen that, John?
Yeah.
You've seen slippery elm?
Yep.
Ever cut it?
No, but I've cut elm, but it's not the slippery elm. Ours isn't the slippery elm. Ours is just common elm. And I was just telling him today on the phone. It's the one I cut out there, and it was the one that was left on the sawmill. So it wasn't an inch and it wasn't 2 inches. It was just somewhere in between there.
Uh-huh.
And it looks like one of those egg noodles that you buy at the store. You know that egg noodle look? That's what the elm looks like when it gets done drying.
Oh wow. Yeah.
Exactly like that. I'm going to take a picture of it and show you what that looks like. I'm going to do that tomorrow. Put it on Facebook or something.
There's a question up there for you, John.
What logs did we mill at the Wood Miser demonstration? I think they were poplar. And and that was in Indy. It wasn't pine. It wasn't pine. It was a hardwood, but it wasn't an oak or anything. I would think it was just some kind of poplar down there. Probably because it's cheap and that nobody wants it, and they can just bring it in by the truckload to Wood-Mizer, Indianapolis Wood-Mizer. That's where we were at.
Yeah, we've never had any luck with poplar.
Well, the
I got
poplar,
a lot of poplar in my area. West Virginia's got tons of poplar. I mean, that's where I'm at all the time up that area. But
well,
they got tons of
the poplar we cut is actually aspen, Tim.
Oh, is it?
We have another tree here that's in the poplar family. It's called cottonwood.
Cottonwood? Yeah.
You ever heard of that?
Yeah.
We have cottonwood out here.
Do you?
Grows along the streams.
They get
Yep.
massive.
Yep.
We got
And
a
they-
lot of tulip poplar.
Tulip
How about
cottonwood.
all those fuzzies they let loose?
Cottonwood? Yeah, I got pictures of it. It looks like it's snowing in my front yard because I got 3 big cottonwoods out here. Snowing in June.
One thing about poplar in my area is just you're constantly flipping it to mill it. It don't never lay still.
Oh, because of tension
The
in it.
tension in it. Yeah, it's got a lot of stress in it.
Mhm.
I don't know if you remember. You ever watched Iron Oak Sawmill?
Yep.
No.
He passed away. Here not
Yeah, I was
too
gonna
long
say
ago.
passed away. Yep.
Oh yeah.
I watched him a lot, and he was explaining poplar to you. I mean, it's considered a hardwood, but it's a softwood. But it constantly you're rolling it and flipping it to keep it straight. I don't mind if it bows up and upward, as long as it don't go sideways. If it goes sideways, you throw it in the trash because you can't straighten it unless you roll it and go upward with it then. But other than that, if it starts moving too much, best thing to do is throw it off the mill and start another one.
Yeah, we've had hemlock do that on us.
Yep.
With where they whip in the wind there in hardwoods.
Yep.
You cut it, and that baby it will just bow just like a banana as you're cutting it.
Yep. I mean,
Might
the
as well
poplar
just-
looks beautiful when you get it because it's so straight. I mean, it's just like large telephone poles, just as straight as they can be. But
Yep.
just where they're whipped back and forth so much, when you start cutting them, boy, I've had them raised 3, maybe 4 or 5 inches off the mill.
Yeah,
It's,
I like it, but it's just difficult to cut, mill up.
well, if they're coming off like that, how do you keep them straight?
As long as it's bowing upward, I'll cut it because you can always flatten it back down, nail it down, weight it down to make it lay back down.
Well, I'm going to tell you right now, I cut some balsam fir recently for siding, and it came off so bowed that I went back to Michael Wilson's video on how to straighten crooked wood.
I've done that.
And I literally put straps around it and put it the opposite direction of each other and strapped them together. And a month later, I went back and took them loose, and they just went right back to the same bow.
Boing. Boing.
And I mean, it was terrible. I never cut one that was bowed that bad.
Yeah, I mean, I've cut a lot of poplar that does that, but I mean, we usually strap it down or wet it down and strap it, and usually it'll lay down. But usually they're using all the poplar outside anyway for fence boards and all that. So you just nail it up and let it go.
Gotcha.
We hadn't had any problems with the bees this year.
I have not. Knock on wood, I have not gotten any bees yet this year.
You guys?
My dad and I were just talking. There aren't as many yellow jackets here as there normally are this year.
I just ran into a whole nest of hornets last weekend
Sorry,
on cutting down a black cherry.
it's okay.
Really?
It's okay.
The whole inside of the cherry tree was black hornets.
All right.
Oh. That'll make
I did
it
run
worse.
into a nest that the bears had dug up and eaten, so they are around.
I wasn't
We've
worried
been
about
cooking outside and just haven't had as many as you. There's some, but not too bad.
Well, we've had such a wet summer up here. I'm thinking that might have had some impact on the yellow jackets because we
Yeah.
haven't run into one single nest this year, and usually I get stung 3 or 4 times during summer.
I ran into a big nest.
when I'm
Yeah,
up in
I send in the heavyweights.
When I'm up in there in Adirondacks, I'm always stung by some of those ground bees.
You got to be careful.
Yeah.
They are nasty.
Oh man, but I wasn't this year. Good thing. But is
There are
that
so many bears here on the coast now. I'm wondering if they're having an impact on the population because they dig up and eat the nests.
It's
Yeah,
possible.
Really. That's crazy.
I was just wondering what bees that Cricket 94, what bees are you talking about? You're talking about, honeybees or ground bees or what? Sweat bees? I'm having a problem with sweat bees.
Honeybees taste like honey.
I've never ate one.
Never ate one either.
They go down a little rough, but it's okay.
Never eaten a yellow honeybee.
Yeah,
Speaking of cottonwood,
yes.
years ago when I used to play tennis, we played in an indoor court. They had big fans that would blow air in and out. It would blow the cotton in, then that would mix with the what is it, the fuzzy stuff on the tennis balls. Then it would have greenish yellow cotton blowing all over the inside of the tennis courts.
When we have at where we work at our real job, we got like 7 or 8 cottonwoods out on the edge of the property, and when the starts turning the cotton loose, it blows into the shop. It sticks to any oil or grease that's on the floor. They stick to it, but they don't just stick to it. It builds up inch thick, like John said, like snow. All you got to do is drop a spark in it, and I have never seen anything burn like that. It's like gasoline.
Scrape some up and make fire starter.
Yeah, you could.
And then sell them. But cottonwood I've used cottonwood in when I was building my chicken house. We sold cottonwood 2x4s.
Really?
Chicken house with it. Yep. It's actually easier to build with than pine. It's just as light as pine, and you can drive a nail through it just like pine. It's just you can't, I don't know, 40% of it is crooked, and you just got to throw it away because it's just no good. If you can find a nice straight tree, though, with no tension in it, cottonwood's a good lumber to build with.
It's so stringy, it probably doesn't split when you nail it.
Right. Nope. Doesn't split when you nail it. The nails will rust right in because it's so wet.
Hey, Steve, those yellow pines, are they really sappy or not?
If you didn't watch a couple of the videos I did on the pines, the fresh pines that we cut,
No.
you can put a 5-gallon bucket on the end of the log and get a gallon and a half or more out of each bucket log within 4 or 5 hours. It was just pouring out of them. It looked like a river of pine sap just running. It's the most nastiest stuff.
A couple of years ago, we cut a big white pine and we threw it on my mill and we let it sit there for a week. We came back, there's a puddle of sap, like you were saying, under the mill. And Rick goes, I've never seen that before. And you're right, it's probably about a gallon of sap out of the end of that log. It's
If
unreal.
you look at the one video I did, if you look, there's like a river of sap just running through my backyard. It was running out of them like 6, 7 logs. I mean, it was just running out of them. I'm like, y'all ever cut anybody do any gum?
No.
No gum?
Sweet gum?
Yep.
I think Chris does it over there by you. I think he cuts gum.
I cut a lot of it. I love it.
Do you?
A lot of it's so plentiful around here. It's free because it's got so bad of a name that it's trash wood that people are begging you to take it. But
Yeah, I know they won't use it for firewood.
they won't use it for work, but they can't split it.
You can't split it. It's impossible.
And that's
to
where it
split
got its bad name. Back in the 1800s, it got a bad name of being trash wood because they couldn't split it for firewood with an axe and split axe. But it's the most beautiful wood. If you mill any of it, it looks like real dark hickory inside, and it's beautiful.
But the grain doesn't twist or anything on the wood after you
Nope.
cut it?
No,
Wow.
it lays perfect. I've had better luck with it, and I had some oaks.
No kidding.
And I'll go get all they want to give me of that stuff, and I get it for cheap because they're begging you to take it.
Now, what about
Free service.
driving nails into it? Is it hard?
After it dries, you need 2 good sharp drill bits and an extra battery and a jackhammer. It is tough. Yeah, don't think that Milwaukee's going to go through that battery very many. But it's good wood. I make beautiful mantles out of it. You wouldn't believe it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The grain's nice.
The grain. I'll show you. I'll send you a picture. Oh, I got one of my videos is on there of the grain, and one of them where I plane it. It's like a 4-foot piece. I run through the planer.
Okay.
Real dark, beautiful grain.
Has any of you guys ever cut any cypress?
Yeah.
Nope.
No.
Yep.
You have
Yeah.
swamp cypress?
Swamp
And
cypress.
don't
They
grow
call
anywhere
it.
but the swamps.
That's beautiful wood, isn't it?
Yeah. It ain't. I mean, I don't know. I don't care for it that much, but it don't sell that great.
That's a
Really?
high resistant wood to rot.
It is. It's high resistant. Yeah.
Now,
Western red cedar out here is a cypress. So is Port Orford cedar.
Is it?
Now, I was going to ask you earlier, Michael, and I forgot. That's what I lost my train of thought. You were talking about the redwoods. Now, I know when we lived down south, they passed a law where you couldn't cut cypress. I don't even think you're allowed to cut it on private property anymore. Do they protect the redwood trees the same way? I heard they had.
Only the old growth, but most of the redwood area is no longer old growth. Redwood is so prolific, it grows back. You cut them off and they sprout right back from the stump. I have redwood on some of my property, my coast property, that has 1-inch growth rings. That's how fast it grows.
Wow.
Each tree is growing 2
1 inch.
inches in diameter a year.
Wow.
It's
That's huge.
It grows back fast, but the second growth and the third growth is not as rot resistant as the old growth.
Gotcha. So it's pretty much the old growth they protected.
Yeah, and there's not a lot of that left. But people think redwood is endangered. Redwood, the tree, is nowhere near endangered. It's hard to kill. They've established plantations in New Zealand, parts of Europe. There's a lot of redwood.
Catawba tree. We have them. I've seen them. I've never cut one.
Never
That's
heard of it.
it's a butternut walnut.
Catawba tree grows looks like beans on it, big green beans. Never seen them?
Yep, I remember. Yep.
I got one in my front yard.
Have you ever cut one?
I never cut it.
Have you ever eaten one of the beans?
I've never eaten one of the beans, but I've fished with them. No, you
Fish
fish
with them.
No, you fish with the catalpa worms
Now-
that are eating the beans.
Gotcha.
That's what you fish with.
My father-in-law used to take catawba worms and freeze them, and then when you thaw them out, they come right back to life, according to what he said.
Oh, they're great for fishing.
That's
Bluegill.
what I've heard.
White cedar.
Yep.
White cedar. Nope. Truckload of eastern red.
I think white cedar's in the far northeast, maybe into eastern Canada.
Yeah, possibility.
I'd like to cut into some white birch and see what it looks like.
Looks like white birch.
Looks that's gonna be.
Smart aleck. Yeah, that's
I'm
funny because the yellow birch doesn't look yellow. Mhm.
I could tell you where one is if you want to go cut it down, but it's not on our property.
Oh, I get in trouble for that probably.
Not if
Better
they don't
skip
get
that
to
one.
it.
Bob Fraser, did you plant coast redwood or sequoia redwood?
The So nobody's ever had any flaming box elder? I'm the only one?
Nope, I've never cut any of it.
Never. Nope.
You've seen it. You know what it is?
No.
It's the box elder tree has, when it's eaten by the like the maple is eaten by the ambrosia beetle. I don't even know that that's the name, and it leaves that ambrosia stain in the maple.
Mm-hmm.
When the box elder tree is eaten, it puts off a red dye to kill the fungus,
Yeah.
and that red looks just like flames in that wood. It'll come
Oh
out.
yeah,
I've
yeah.
seen-
I've seen
Yeah.
some of that on some YouTube videos. Yeah.
You
Yeah,
see
I've
a
seen
lot of
some
that
of
on
it.
YouTube. And it's in the damaged. You just look for the damaged box elder trees, and they're really crooked and really nasty looking.
Did you
And,
see Bob Fraser's answer there, Michael?
Yeah. Hopefully the bears don't get to his like they have here. They'll kill pretty much every young redwood you plant here.
Really?
Yeah, they just peel the bark right off of them. My coast property would be worth a whole lot right now if it wasn't for the bears killing the ones that we planted 20, 30 years ago. Just
Well, he says
not
they're
everyone.
20 plus years old now.
50 feet tall.
Yeah, I think I remember the video you put out about the bears killing your trees.
Yeah, I was just recently.
But if I had redwood, I could just be full-time cutting lumber and selling redwood for a high price.
Really?
It's valuable wood, and it's in high demand. People around here won't buy Douglas fir. They want redwood. They will buy Douglas fir, but not like they will redwood.
Now, what does the redwood have over the Douglas fir?
Its reputation is that it's rot resistant, and a lot of that reputation comes from the old growth. A lot of people think it's a hardwood. A lot of people think they want redwood because it's really strong, but it's actually the opposite of that. I've heard that, when was it that they had the big earthquake in San Francisco that wiped it out like 100 years ago or something? A lot of people believe that they had so much damage because they built their homes out of redwood. It's a really soft wood.
Okay.
I think a lot of cases for framing, it's not even legal to use because it's so soft.
Really?
But people use it for decks and outdoor things because it's rot resistant. Although second growth is only mildly rot resistant. Some cases, Doug fir is more rot resistant than second growth redwood, especially if it has sapwood in it.
Gotcha. Keeping hardwood straight while air drying. Dry it slow.
Yeah.
Dry it very slow.
Keep it out of the sun as much as possible.
Did you see another one? Save a tree, eat a bear.
We saw that.
Yeah.
Yep,
Yeah, so,
about right.
so drying hardwood is, say, whatever you want. 1 inch stickers in between it so it gets enough air.
Slow dry.
At least 50% shade.
Yep.
But not, it can't be 90% shade either. You know what I mean?
No.
And it's got to have air movement. That's why you want the 1 inch stickers, and you want those stickers every 16 inches apart. Keep it straight and level. Well, not level. I always say level. Keep it straight. And then I can't remember how many. It's like, I don't know, a bunch of cement blocks on top of it. It's like 50 pounds per foot, 40 pounds per square foot, something like that. Weight on top of it. Maybe 30 pounds per square foot on top of it.
I've had good luck. I ain't had to weight too much of it.
I
As long
got.
as I keep it.
As long as you keep it what?
As long as I keep mine out of 50% shade and sun, and just keep it good air dry area, I've put very little weight on it, and I have good luck with it. But you want to slow dry it as possible.
I've got elm back there, and I've got maple too. But I've got elm back there right now that that has cement blocks on it, you know, for weight, is as many cement blocks as I can get, pallets full of cement blocks, as
Yeah, I've
tight as
seen
you
the
can get
video
them.
of that.
Yeah. And that elm, the first top 3 rows of that elm twisted just like it didn't have any weight on it at all. You know, just twisted like crazy. But that's elm too. You know, oak's not quite that bad.
Right.
But
Yeah.
So if you have hardwood and you have it stacked next to anywhere anybody can see it from the road, and a thief is going to steal it if it doesn't have cement blocks on it. But if it has cement blocks on it, you know, they're lazy thieves. They're not going to unload the cement blocks. So there's another reason to putting weight on top of it. Keeps the thieves away.
Do you have much problem with theft?
No, I have abundant.
Because you have concrete blocks on it.
Yeah, I got too many blocks on it. We have a lot of problem with what our theft around here is, you know, metal, scrap metal.
Really?
You know, yeah, the house down the road was empty for, you know, a month, and they scrapped the 10 furnace ducts out of the crawl space. You know what I mean? That's,
Yeah.
I don't know how many hours you're in the crawl space getting 10 furnace ducts out through a little bitty crawl space hole, but it wasn't worth it. I can tell you that right now.
With
No
3
weight.
cents a 100 pounds.
Yeah. No weight to it at all.
Yeah, and it's 10.
3 cents for 100 pounds.
Yeah. And you're getting it through the crawl space. Come on. You know, they took the electrical wire and ripped it out of the wall. You know, I understand that's copper, but man, that's still not worth it. You know, they cut the propane, the copper wire off the propane tank while the propane was still on. Yes, we can see your head, huh?
I didn't think
Yeah.
I was in it.
The junkyards around here won't buy the copper wiring and all that stuff without driver's license and all that. And if they see it's a lot of copper wiring from a house or something, they will call on you.
Yeah, they're
And have
cracking
you-
down on it too here.
Yeah, it's bad.
Out here, if you take copper or brass, they'll take your picture and get your driver's license.
That's what they do here. Picture, driver's license, and all that.
Here in New York, they just bring you to jail.
And then
Well,
let you go.
Yeah,
if
then
the
they let you
guy's out
go.
of John stealing 10 for 3 cents a 100 pounds, he's better off slapping the deputy and go to jail and get a free meal.
That's probably why he's stealing it. Yeah.
Now, Michael, you're from a subtropical area. You got camphor trees.
I've heard of them, but I don't have them here. We're not quite subtropical.
Yeah, I haven't. I've never even heard of a camphor tree in our area.
What part of the subtropics are they from?
It's
I don't know.
meth
I can Google it real quick.
heads.
Hawaii.
Yeah, I don't know either. That's what I was gonna do.
Yeah, I just came there from there last week. I cut one. Smell like camphor-phenique. It is. That's where it comes from. The camphor trees. Easy, John. Are you going to be all right? I never choked them up before. That's awesome. You can breathe now.
Next time, get him to spit out his drink.
Yeah. I was trying to make it come out of his nose. Here's a question up here, guys. How's the thin wood markets right now? My thing right now is 8/4 and 3x6s for small bridges.
Yeah, right now we don't have a market.
Nope. Ours fell right out.
Yep. Ours has
When I was selling Doug fir, I was having an easier time selling 1x material than 2x material, and I can get a better price for it.
Yeah, our 1x seems to go better.
I've been away from the mill for the last couple months. I haven't been selling anything. Haven't been trying.
Yeah, we took
Yeah.
ours all the way down off for sale because we're not selling nothing, and I ain't had the time to mess with it.
Yeah, the market's gone right now.
John, how about you?
I see.
Yeah, the the thin wood, the 5/4 is, you just can't sell it. It's not selling at all. Whether it's cherry or walnut, you know what I mean, or even white oak. But it's not that I'm not busy. It's just that you got to find something else. Right now, right now I'm getting a lot of the farmers to bringing me logs because they know once they bring it to me that's cut half my cost. You know what I mean? In half. It's their log, and I can mill it up a lot cheaper for them, and
Absolutely.
they can go buy it, at almost cheaper than they can buy it at Lowe's. And it's oak. They're bringing me oak logs. I
Right.
can cut them 2x4 oak all day long. 2x6s or whatever they want.
Well, you can
You
cut
know
any
the-
dimension.
Huh?
You can cut any dimension they want, oversized, undersized, that they can't buy at the box stores.
Right.
That's my thing. I can do a lot of not cutting that the stores can't do.
Well,
Custom cutting.
right. I'm just what's happening. What it used to be was, I was getting the log, and the log was mine, and I was selling them the log and the lumber. And now what I'm getting is people are like, I've got a trailer. These farmers, or I've got a trailer and I've got a tractor and I've got a chainsaw, and they'll just drop the log, put it on the trailer, and bring it over here, and it's a lot cheaper, for them.
That's what I've been doing lately.
Yep, that's what I'm doing lately a lot.
So there's a better market for milling other people's logs for them than it is trying to mill your own logs and sell the lumber. I think that's what you're saying.
Correct.
There you go.
Yep, correct. Yep. It ain't.
And
It
that
ain't
right
worth the
there is
time
like,
going to pick up the logs.
huh?
It ain't even worth the time going and picking up the logs. I don't care if they're black walnut. I won't even go after them anymore.
Yeah, it's
Because
hard.
time you go after them, haul them, carry them, get them home, do all that, you can't get your money out of them.
But
You guys notice any of the sawmills? I mean, we got a ton of sawmills up for sale around us now.
Oh, tons of them around here.
You notice them? Yeah.
Oh yeah, a lot of them.
Is anybody in the comments doing mobile milling? I'm wondering how mobile milling's doing right now.
I do a lot of mobile milling.
No, you don't.
Not now, right now I don't, but yeah.
I'm just wondering how it's doing in this market right now.
I get a lot of calls for it still. I'm working back at our automotive shop, so I ain't got time to go mobile mill unless it's on the weekend.
Thought she was retiring.
Was. That big was part.
Came out of retirement, did you?
Yep, had to come out.
I just looked up the camphor trees. It grows in the warm, humid areas of China, Japan, and Korea.
Just left there yesterday.
Yeah.
Little out of my zone.
Yeah, mine too.
I think you're closer to them than anybody else, Michael.
Maybe, probably. There's this little thing they call the Pacific Ocean, this little puddle of water that's a little bit in between, I think.
Should be able to float that mill over there cheaper than we can.
I
Get
think
a couple kayaks, use those for pontoons.
There you go.
I think the old jarhead has given up mobile milling, Sawbucks.
Yeah, he wouldn't know what the mobile milling market is currently.
The mobile milling right now is, it's still pretty good in my area.
Yeah, it's still good here.
If you got the time to do it. But the thing is right now, nobody wants to pay you to mobile mill. They think you ought to show up for free, and it's no money in it right now.
The guy that I went to last, he was putting up boards in his barn, and he's like, you can come, and he had trees, you know what I mean, in his woods. So he had already had the trees. So there was no out of pocket expense there. And I can go over there and I can mill the lumber for him cheaper than he can hire somebody to put drywall up in his barn. You know, he's still got to put the lumber up in his barn, but it looks a lot better than drywall and lasts a lot longer, you know,
Yeah.
especially in a barn.
Well,
So you just got to find those little things that are still, you know, the labor cost is so high to get somebody to come and put drywall in, you know,
Right.
the labor through the roof. So you've just got to find those little things, you know, there still is little niches, you know, that you can get into to talk somebody into mobile milling.
Yeah.
They've got the lumber.
The mobile milling, they just right now the money's so tight. I reckon people's holding out. They just don't want to pay for the hours. I just had a guy, Tuesday that came to my shop and was wanting to know if I still mobile milling. I told him, yeah. And he says, I only got 4 logs. I said, no matter what it is, it's $100 an hour. He says, $100 an hour to mill 4 little logs. Well, yeah. But I mean, he's like, I've never paid anybody $100 an hour to do anything.
That's what I am. And there's all kinds of, there's setup fees and everything else.
Well, and that's what I told him was a setup. Are you going to charge me to bring the mill to my house?
Yep.
Said, yeah, well, it's cheaper if you bring the logs to me.
Yep.
And I'll do it that way. But yeah, to drag my mill 65 miles from my house to your house and set it up, yeah, there's a setup fee.
Yeah, there's a fee.
Yeah, and the smaller logs are worse to cut than the bigger ones.
I hate cutting the small logs.
Oh,
I
I
mean, you've seen
hate
some of my videos. I rant and rave about it. I mean, I'd rather cut a 36-inch log 25 foot long than I would an 8-inch log 8 foot long, 10 foot long. Because you fight it so much.
Yeah.
Right. But
we're not like Michael.
you're-
We don't have the sticks down there to turn the stuff over real quick.
I think small logs maybe do better on my small LT10. I mean LT15.
Well, and we're so used to using hydraulics, and the hydraulics don't want to flip them a lot of times.
Yeah.
They don't want to roll right. So you have to manually do it. The best way to do it, just grab the PV or whatever, and just manually do it.
For me, small logs are easier to handle, easier to deal with.
Yep.
Yeah. In your case, yeah. Us 36-inch log, 20 foot long is a piece of cake. It's a dream log. Get it up there and get it done quick. I can probably do that quicker than I can do an 8-inch round log, 20 foot long. I'll fight that thing for an hour trying to get it set the way I want it.
Yep.
When do you plan to go back to your property, Michael?
Whenever the heat and the smoke and the high fire danger goes away.
That's a list.
Yep. That can usually be between anywhere between September and November, depending on the year.
Gotcha.
It's 65 degrees here outside. I'm in a jacket. I'll probably start a fire in the house this evening here on the coast.
That's how forest fires
What
get
is it?
started.
64, 65 degrees. That was the high for today.
I think we're at 58 right now.
Yeah, it's cooling down. But we have a bunch of rain.
I'm 79, feels like 84.
You look like 84.
Thanks. You got so much humidity.
You can keep
Or
it down there. You
86%.
keep sending it up with those stupid tropical storms. Keep it down there.
No problem.
Yeah.
We're at 61 right now.
We're 83% humidity.
You can have that.
We're 61 right now.
We're at 89% humidity, 72.
We only get that in the winter. Inland, we can get down to single-digit humidity on hot days.
Really? Our hot days, usually the humidity goes up.
We're the opposite.
That'd be nice.
I just don't know. I don't know how you guys live out in those 100+ temps in the summertime. Oh my God.
It was 112 at the inland property
That's got to
The
be
day I
crazy.
left, I got here in time to escape that.
But I still
don't-
see you wearing a long sleeve shirt.
Well, because I'm on the coast now.
No. Even when you was at your other property.
I don't like the sun on me.
Yeah.
I like to cover up.
I see. You're a
I
vampire.
rolled my sleeves up when it got hot. I was early in the morning in that last video
Oh,
when it
was
was
it?
really hot.
Oh my God. How does people live in that? That's got to be crazy.
Air conditioning.
Yeah. Air conditioner, right?
Yeah, except for the people who have to work outside. You get used to it. And as we say, it's a dry heat. 112 out here might be like 90 back there in high humidity.
Yeah.
Hmm.
But your sweat evaporates and it cools you out there.
Yeah.
So, Steve, you're at 112 right now.
Probably.
Not to say it isn't miserable when it's 112.
It's miserable here at 90.
That's crazy. I just don't
Well,
know
man,
how anybody can live in that.
Enjoy the
That's not
humidity.
typical. It's usually 90s, lower hundreds.
Yeah.
Yeah, when your heat deck,
So-
our heat decks gets up to 112 or 114 here with 85% humidity.
Yeah. See, humidity that kills you down south.
Yeah, you walk outside and the water just looks like you just got out of the shower.
Yeah. Well, one.
Here at the ranch, I'm a little inland from the coast. It does get hot out here, but hot is 80s, sometimes low 90s. Typical days, probably 70s or low 80s, low humidity. Just really comfortable.
Yeah, that's nice. That really is
What
nice.
what
Nice
state is
breeze.
that, Michael?
Pretty much all of Oregon,
Oregon?
Washington, and Northern California are that way. And if you get on the coast, sometimes it doesn't get above the 60s during the day. Right on the coast. But I'm inland a few miles out of the fog.
Gotcha.
And this wind is about to blow this shutter on me.
Cricket 94 was saying something about poplar peelers. Anybody understand what he's talking about?
Here, I'll put it back up.
Popular
NFA.
foods.
NFAS grade saw logs.
First and second grade. Sawlog's doing good. Pulpwood, our quotas, veneer, okay, but still.
Early
Yeah,
young
another-
and foreign mills taking all we can send.
I didn't think there was that
Logs.
kind of. I didn't think there was that kind of market on poplar. I really didn't.
There's a good market on poplar.
Is it really?
Yep.
Logs. But
Yep.
you know, Cricket's talking about taking, the logs to the mill.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not milling them up on our little small mills.
Right.
You're just taking the whole log to the mills. But
What are
and
they doing with them at the mill?
the poplar peelers? They're
Yeah.
peeling them.
Peeling.
Peeling them, making veneer.
Yeah.
Making paneling, making
Handling.
any of the
Yeah, a lot of
any-
poplar goes to the mills here.
anything you want veneer. Any of the cheap IKEA furniture. They take the press board and then they put a poplar over top of
Really?
it.
I know what veneer is, but the only logs I ever knew that they wanted for veneer was cherry and hard maple, at least up here.
Well, that's why they're calling them poplar peelers instead of poplar veneer, because they're not paying you the veneer price for them.
Gotcha.
You know what I mean? And what else did you say? Oh, and what I was saying was, and Cricket says it's getting an okay price. What's an okay price? Gallon of milk's gone up. Gallon of milk's doubled in the last 4 years.
Okay, John.
Has the price of the logs doubled? You know what I mean? That's what I'm
Doubt it.
saying. It's a
Yeah.
good price. Is it the same thing they were getting 10 years ago or what? 900, 1,000 a couple months ago. Okay. That's what I was wanting to know.
You ever
Yeah.
try to buy 8-foot poplar board 1x6 S4 in the store?
No.
Uh-uh.
$80 at least.
I
for
know.
one board.
I know things have gotten so bad here with logs. The Amish aren't even buying them right now, and the Amish usually sets the price on how much logs go for.
Yep.
Yes, 500, 1,000. What, about a month ago?
No, it's been a couple months now. But the Amish has even quit buying logs. They're just not turning the lumber.
They're still selling logs out here. They're still logging around. Log prices are okay for Douglas fir, but the mills are having problems because the log prices are okay. Lumber prices are down, but log prices are okay.
Yeah.
And when I say okay, log prices now are what they were back in the 90s when we thought they were good.
Yeah. And that's funny because I've always found that when lumber's high, it seems like log prices are low. And then when log prices are high, lumber prices, the bottom falls out of it. It must be a lag time or something between the two, you know?
I think that's what it is.
Out here, Douglas fir usually follows the log prices to some degree. It's just right now the mills can't get anybody to log unless they have the logs at a certain price. Otherwise, it's the loggers can't make a profit.
Right.
And they won't get any logs. Because labor, fuel, everything's so expensive right now, they have to pay a decent price for logs.
That's understandable.
Well, those massive fires have to put a damper on the market too, right, Michael?
They can, but a lot of times after a fire, you get a bunch of salvage material. There's a lot of logs to salvage and send to the mills. It doesn't burn the trees up, it just kills them. Then you can salvage the timber. Unless it's on Forest Service land or BLM, then you have to leave it. You can't salvage it most of the time.
That's great. Yeah, it's like up here, state land. They won't log out around X. They won't log it.
If they try to, there's going to be lawsuits that'll tie them up. By the time they get done with the lawsuits, it's too late.
A tree done.
Yeah.
It's rot.
We've got state land. We've got state land that backs up to our property. And there are cherry trees on there that's 36 inches in diameter. I mean, they're huge. And they just don't do anything with it. It just sits there. You're not allowed to even take a chainsaw on state land.
And here they're logging like crazy.
Well, private property, they log, well, not right now, but private property, they've been logging like crazy. But we're talking about the Adirondack Park. The state of New York owns a lot of land, and it's public land. Anybody can use it for recreation, but can't cut trees off of it. They get real hinchy about that.
Yeah, this is private logging that's going on right here.
Yeah, we get that too. We get a lot of that.
Yeah, a lot of that going on. Building these houses.
Most of the logging here is private land. And when a fire does burn private land, they do send a lot of salvage black logs to the mill.
Now, what do they use the black logs for? Lumber, or do they use it for pulp?
They use it for lumber. It's the wood inside's just like normal wood. It blackens the bark, and then underneath the wood's just fine.
The heat doesn't bother the wood at all.
Not usually.
There's a question there, Rick. You want to answer that?
So do you create any added value products, cutting boards, tables, benches, or just cut personal use? We make logs or trees into logs and logs into lumber, and that's as far as we go. I'll cut lumber for personal use, like to put a building up like we recently did, but I don't do any kind of crafting at all.
We do crafting.
You do?
Well, I'll say we. I ain't gonna say we. I'm gonna say my wife.
I was gonna say I just saw your wife put out some nice burning.
Yeah, wood burning stuff.
Yeah, wood burning stuff.
She does.
I've seen some nice crafts come off of your channel.
Thank you.
Yep.
She does a lot of resin, epoxy,
and then
a lot of cutting boards, birdhouses, a lot of stuff. Most of the cutting we have here at the house is mostly for us.
So has the epoxy gone through the roof, Steve?
Uh,
The resins?
well, yeah, it's went up a little bit. Not as much as you think.
Now, we used to get we sell a lot to crafters, and the crafters aren't selling anything, so therefore we're not selling anything. That's where the problem lies.
Yeah. Right now, the craft stuff ain't selling too hot.
Rick, you want to answer that
We
one?
got
Yeah,
it ain't.
we have
We got tons of it stockpiled.
we've cut a lot of lightning struck trees, and usually if you can get on either side of the lightning strike, you're okay. But anywhere around the strike, the wood falls apart. But normally when we get a lightning strike, it doesn't go straight down the tree. It spirals down the tree, so it pretty much ruins the whole log.
Whole log, yeah.
Yeah, he's saying there was like black spots on the inside. I've never seen that. Have you?
Well, I think the lightning strikes we get are trees that survived the lightning strike by years.
Yeah.
You know, we haven't cut anything that was just recently struck. Now, you guys that cut cherry, we cut a lot of cherry. I know cherry leaves, and I've heard the cherry sawdust contains arsenic. Anybody ever heard that?
Or is it cyanide?
Cyanide.
Cyanide.
I know if a
Stone
cow.
fruit pits have cyanide in them.
I know
Rick
if a
doesn't
cow-
know his poisons.
I know if a cow eats green cherry leaves, they'll die. And it is cyanide. I think you're right.
We don't cut very much cherry. My wife don't care for cherry, but we don't get very much people bringing cherry. I've only had a couple log sawed up by cherry.
Cherry seeds. Bob Fraser says cherry seeds contain cyanide.
A lot of seeds contain cyanide. Apple seeds, cherry
Yeah.
seeds, peach seeds.
Yeah, I know if a cow eats cherry leaves, they'll die. And they die.
Mostly at levels that wouldn't be toxic. If you ate an apple seed, it's not going to hurt you.
Kill the cattle. Yep.
I've seen that. That's why I mentioned it. But I know a lot of woodcrafters will wear a heavy duty respirator mask when they're dealing with cherry dust. We've never had any problem with it that I know of.
Black walnut's really bad.
Is it?
Yes, real bad respiratory problems with black walnut. I got a bad habit of not wearing a mask when I mill it, but I happened to think about it halfway through after I started choking to death. Then I had to go get a mask.
Yeah, that's what they're saying. Black walnut is hard on the respiratory system.
Real bad.
And cedar.
Yeah, cedar's kind of not as bad as black walnut. Black walnut's really bad.
Cedar gives you red lung.
Yeah.
Anything you cut up, Michael, causes.
When I was milling up cedar, I had the feeling I probably should be wearing a mask. I didn't, and I haven't cut very much, especially if it's dry cedar and it's really dusty.
The dust.
It bothers my eyes some, and I can feel it a little bit when I breathe it.
If any of you
If I was
guys
doing a lot of it, I would probably wear a mask.
If any of you guys want a good dust mask, check out the link in any of our videos.
Yeah, I've seen that. So black walnut that'll make my, lips numb and your nose, irritated the next day. You'll have a sinus infection the next day. And then the Osage orange, man, that stuff just burns my eyes. You get that fine little sawdust in your eyes and it just burns your eyes. Mine, anyway.
Well, it sounds like we don't cut walnut. We're not lucky enough to get any, but I guess if we get some, we better be careful.
I'd bring you some.
Some people are allergic to it and it affects them really, really bad.
Yeah.
So.
I'd bring you some, but I think it's against the law to transport logs across state lines. So.
Even with those vac systems you guys have on your two wood misers, you still get a lot of dust out of that?
Yep.
Really?
A lot of dust on it. Yep, a lot.
Wow.
You're best to put a mask on.
Oh, I put a mask on.
Dry Douglas fir makes a lot of dust. It doesn't feel like it's toxic or smell toxic, but it's just like breathing any dust. So I like to mill that when there's a breeze. Right where the mill is, there's a good breeze there that comes up later in the day.
Yeah.
So when it's blowing the dust away, that's when I like to do the really dusty stuff.
Yeah.
Now I see Black Smoke Joe red sumac. Now, believe it or not, and we've done it, you can make lemonade out of the red clumps of sumac. You dip it in ice water, the water will turn pink and it's just like lemonade. Or you can stuff the whole berry pack in your mouth. What happens?
No, no, you can't.
Is that anything like
we're-
eating yellow smoke?
We were
Is that
doing a
about-
video. We were doing a video and we stopped at like a little pull off and there's some red sumac. And Rick goes, "Oh, that tastes like lemonade." And I'm like, "Really?" He goes, "Yeah." So I went and took a big bite out of it. Boy, was I sorry for like an hour.
Is that anything like the yellow snow?
No, I mean it's like I puckered it. It's worse than lemonade. I swear to God, it was the worst lemon I ever had. I mean, it tastes like lemon, but oh,
Yeah, I think when you eat it straight like that, it's more like oh, I can't think of the name of it now. The stuff that makes you pucker. It's a baking type stuff.
Alum?
Alum.
Alan.
That's what happens when you get old. You can't think of stuff anymore.
look at there, John. It still works.
I thought I had to test it out.
It works.
Yep.
Yeah, any of you guys have a channel, a YouTube channel you want to put up there? Just type in Sawmill in the comment section, and your YouTube channel will come up.
You have to be on Two Brothers Outdoors on the YouTube. It
Yeah.
won't work if you type it into X or if you type it into Facebook or if you type it into Michael Wilson's channel or my channel. You have to be on your channel to do it.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yep.
Well, yeah, because I got the bot set up through our YouTube.
Yep.
Well, that's
Now, don't you have a bot too, John? No, that does something, a paintball or
Yeah.
something.
I have a bot that I can't even remember what it does. You can type
8-ball,
in
I thought, wasn't it?
yeah, you can type in 8-ball. Ask 8-ball a question, or you can type in geez, I wish I could remember.
Hmm.
I can't even remember what all mine are anymore.
Sawbucks. It only
Oh.
works if you're in here through our. There you go. You're in our, through our channel.
Yep.
747 blades. Isn't that too? Would a 10 horse pull that blade? I didn't think it would.
gonna be
I'm
a-
not sure. We talked to them today about that. That's the turbo, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
747 turbo.
Yeah, the 747's a turbo. I don't know if the 10 horse would pull that or not.
That's going to be a pull and a half.
Yeah.
He's gonna have to get a turbo on that 10 horsepower.
I 8-ball.
Yeah. That's going to be rough.
How big was this white oak that it cut like butter?
Yeah. How big was the oak that you used a 747 blade on, Cricket?
And how dry was it? Fresh cut?
That California black oak milled like butter on my mill, my little 14 horse.
That red oak crotch I cut the other day, that cut like butter.
Well,
Oh.
what were you using for a blade, though, Michael?
It was a 7-degree double hard.
Was it really?
Yeah.
And see, they've been telling us that unless you got more than 20 horse, you can't run anything less than a 10-degree blade.
I use 7s and 10s, and I haven't noticed a big difference on my mill between the two. But I've been cutting small logs too.
Yeah. Well,
When I was cutting bigger logs, it was always with a 10.
Oh yeah. He could do that 10-degree. It was 13 inches on the small end and 12 foot long. Yeah. Fresh cut. Oh yeah. He could.
Yeah.
I don't
So
know.
what?
Actually, him.
What was the answer, John?
I don't know. It's not working yet, is it?
He broke 8-ball with that question.
My 8-ball isn't working.
Oh, John, come on. Am I the best looking Sawyer in this live?
Well, no, I am. I'm just waiting for the 8-ball to answer.
8-ball
And
says
yet-
no comment.
And yet
I
it
know.
still has not answered you.
I know it.
It's too busy laughing.
It might be.
Yeah, I've always cut with 10-degree blades. We tried lower degrees, and I just always go back to 10. It seems to work the best for us.
Yeah, we tried the 7. We tried the 9s.
Well, with that Woodland Mills, you ever tried anything other than that? You ever tried doing like an 8.5?
What do you mean? Oh, sharpening?
That Woodland Mills sharpener to take your 10
No.
degrees to 8.5?
Set it. No, I set it on 10. Well, I did try to take a 10 and make it a 7 with it, but I sold the mill before I got the chance to use it.
7's a little much to make. You can
Yeah.
do it.
Yeah.
And with that Woodland Mills grinder, I take that
Yeah.
grinder and I grind my 10-degree double hards. I
Yep.
grind them to about 8.5 degree.
Did you get the diamond wheel?
I have not got the diamond wheel.
Oh my God. I got that diamond wheel. That thing is awesome, John. You got to get
Well,
it.
Will that sharpen the carbide blades?
Yes. Yep.
Yeah. Okay.
Yep. And it's not, I had to replace 2 of the stones so far. So I went and got, actually it's for the Pro, but it's the same as ours.
Right.
The Pro just runs faster, but I put it on there and you don't, just go. And you don't even have to shape the stone or nothing. It's ready to go.
I don't know, John. You better research first before you sharpen a carbide blade with it, because I know typically if you're sharpening carbide, you have to use a soft stone.
I don't know. I don't know. I
Really?
have no idea.
I used to sharpen carbide lathe bits, and you had to use a soft stone to do that with. You couldn't sharpen them with a hard stone.
I thought you had to use diamond. I thought you had to use diamond bits.
I never tried a diamond wheel on a carbide. You should research it though before you try it. That's all I'm saying.
Oh yeah, I will for sure. But
You ever used the 4s yet, John?
I've never used the 4s. I've never used the 4s. You like those?
No.
No. I got to the.
I think that's one. They're good cutting blades, but they don't last.
And that's where I got to with the 7s. They're a good cutting blade, but they don't last.
No, I can run a 10 3 times longer than I can run a 4.
Right. So, and that's where I've kind of compromised on that 8.5. You know what I mean? The 10 is just a little bit slow. The 7 is fast, or the 4 is a fast cutting blade, but the 7 and the 4 will dull so quick, and the 10 will stay sharp so much longer. That right in the middle of that is about the 8.5.
I ain't tried the 8.5 yet. I've tried 6s.
It cuts faster than the 10, you know what I mean? And it stays sharp longer than the 7.
Is that on the double hardened?
Double hard. I take the double hard 10s.
Yeah.
And I sharpen them to 8.5 degree.
Yeah.
With the Woodland Mills.
Black Smoke Joe uses the CBN wheel on carbide.
CBN Bill.
Yeah, but it wants cooling, he said.
I got a question for you, Michael. I know you cut a lot of Doug fir, but have you cut anything that has a spectacular grain in it?
Spectacular grain.
Yeah, we get into some maples and stuff that just have grain that takes your breath away. So it's so pretty.
That madrone, I thought, had some spectacular grain in it. But the problem is drying it.
It likes to twist.
Likes to twist. It likes to do anything. It likes to do everything but stay straight. That's one thing it doesn't like. It does everything else. I'm trying to think. I've mostly done Douglas fir. I've done some blue pine that had some really nice grain in it. I would say really nice, but I wouldn't say spectacular.
Okay. Well, the madrone, did you ever think of cutting like turning bolts out of it for people that have lathes to play with?
I've thought about it, but I just haven't had much madrone to play with. I've been so busy with Doug fir. I don't know how to do that without it cracking. Maybe it's okay if it cracks. Maybe they expect it to. I think they have to cure it. Some of them steam it. Some of them boil it.
Uh-huh.
I just haven't got into doing that. Oh yeah, the myrtle wood. Bob Frazier just reminded. That myrtle wood I cut had some really nice grain in it. I knew there was something I was not remembering. It moved a lot when it dried too.
Did it really? I've never heard of madrone or myrtle wood, so you guys got me.
It's all West Coast.
Yeah.
That's all West Coast wood, ain't it?
Yep.
Kind of like that Humboldt cut.
Yep. I have another piece of myrtle wood. I don't know if I'll be able to take it back to the mill this year or not, but it has a lot of burling in it. I think it's going to be beautiful.
Had to throw that humble cut in there.
Yes.
Yes, and I cut it down with that Humboldt undercut.
Yeah.
Sawbuck says that John looks really good now.
There you go.
What do you do? Go on standby?
I don't know what he did.
Did you get the one about the blade thickness and?
Yeah, that was Southern Adirondack Outdoors.
Yeah, that was Andy and Paul.
We're ignoring them
It's a
right now because they're supposed to be on here with us.
Yeah,
The
what's up with you guys?
Yeah.
If you guys
The
could type,
thickness
you
of the
guys should
wide
be on
blade.
here.
The wider the blade and the thickness of the blade will slow you down a lot too.
Yep.
8 Ball's mama taught 8 Ball if 8 Ball doesn't have anything nice to say, 8 Ball doesn't say anything at all.
Geez, Andy.
Myrtlewood guitars.
Oh. Now, what was the one with the red flames in it? Was that the box elder?
Box elder.
Yeah, that's what John said. Box
That's
elder.
that's some pretty wood. I wish we'd get some of that.
Well, we have box elder, where they call it box elder up here, that grows in the low swamps, but I don't think it ever gets big. I don't think it gets any bigger than 6-8 inches.
But I know if we don't get it punky, I like to watch the spalting that we cut sometimes, the maples and the birch.
The myrtle wood I cut up had a lot of nice colors in it. It's also called pepperwood around here. It's also called California bay laurel, Oregon myrtle. It's the one I picked the nuts on off of last fall that tastes like coffee and chocolate.
Okay.
I remember that.
Oh, yeah, a burl and a box elder. I'd like to cut that.
First, you got to find a box elder big enough for the burl.
Well, we cut a burl with a Sasquatch in it.
Yeah, we did.
That was pretty cool.
John's back.
Stick Andy's comment back up there for John.
Yeah, that's what I said.
There you go, John.
That's what I said. Shh, John's back.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I hear you. I hear you. It didn't work, did it? What else? There's another work. But I mean, we all know that I'm the best looking sawyer here anyway, so it doesn't really matter.
We're still not sure you're a sawyer.
I hear you.
He's a calendar sawyer.
But we know I'm not good looking.
Well, we have a lot of elk where those nuts are. I wonder if that would flavor the elk.
I don't know. You got quite a bit of game going on that camera on that one video I watched.
Oh,
Holy
man.
cow.
Yeah, the game camera gods have been good to me lately.
Cougars, bears. Oh my goodness.
Monster elk.
A little bit of everything going through there.
That big elk that was on that last one, I found the shed from that elk 2 years ago. I have that.
No kidding.
Yeah, it has a unique pattern to it.
And so the cow finally got mad at the camera and tore it off the tree.
Yeah.
Damn cows.
I don't think they even have to get mad. They're just ornery, mischievous.
I don't know.
Yeah, it's about madrone and oak are about the same. White oak is a little more BTU. Black oak, I think, is a little bit less, but they're close to the same density. Madrone has less ash in it
Oh, does it?
when you burn it.
Huh.
And I think they cut about the same. They both of them cut like butter.
Now you use a lot of Douglas fir for firewood. Does that burn fast?
It's faster than hardwood, but for a softwood, it's good firewood. It's a good hot burning. I think it's an underrated firewood.
Okay.
I burn probably more Douglas fir than anything. It's not a hardwood. It's definitely not as long and hot as hardwood, but it's good for softwood.
Yeah, we got a lot of people starting to use hemlock around here now for firewood. I don't know why, but they seem to like it.
So do you guys have like pellet stoves out there, Michael, or is it just firewood?
Yeah, some people do.
I wonder.
I don't know how prevalent, but some people do.
What are the pellets? Are they just like softwood, hardwood?
Usually softwood.
Are they?
I've actually heard there's more BTU in softwood pellets than hardwood pellets.
You are correct.
Because when they compress them, they're similar in density because it compresses softwood down to a similar density that would compress a hardwood. But softwood has resins in it that has more energy in it than wood.
Yeah.
They say that spruce has the highest in pellet form. Spruce has the highest BTUs. That's in pellet form.
Yeah.
No kidding.
Yeah, it's a direct opposite of what you would think with a pellet stove. A fireplace or a wood stove, you want to burn hardwood for the most BTUs, but they say a pellet stove is just the opposites. Pine is a higher BTU.
I think the advantage of softwood is it has a little bit more BTU and less ash.
Yeah, a lot less ash.
Where hardwood is good is if you're smoking and you want flavor.
Right.
Oh, let's see. Next question. You guys affected by the emerald ash borer yet? Oh, yes, we are. We're losing trees. We're losing trees right and left. As soon as a tree dies, we cut it down and try to get it cut up into at least slabs, 2-inch slabs.
It's just now making it out to Oregon. We're just now starting to get it, and they figure our ashes are going to be same as yours, dead.
Yep, gone.
Well, a forester we talked to, I don't know, last year or so, he said that within 10 years there won't be an ash saw log available because of this stupid beetle.
Yep.
I know we're losing our big trees right and left very quick. Yeah, Douglas fir is a good building wood. I believe that.
I would say a lot more than half of them are built of Douglas fir out here.
I would have to agree.
I would say most.
In the United States as a whole, I would say probably Douglas fir.
Yeah, Douglas fir.
I guess southern yellow pine.
On the Northern California coast, a lot of the homes were built out of redwood because it was so abundant. Otherwise, Douglas fir.
Huh.
They don't build them anymore out of redwood. They just build decks and fences, things like that.
Right.
Yeah. And I looked it up earlier, what we were talking about, the elm growing off the sprouts growing off the roots. It does. Elm does grow off it does sprout off the roots of an elm tree.
Really? I did not know that.
Andy could tell you that.
Yeah, Andy would be tipped. Andy's
But
Andy might as well be an arborist. He knows everything about trees.
Except Andy's not on tonight.
Well, he's texting on here, so he's close. Yeah, the ash tree is taking a beating, that's for sure. It'll get deep into the mountains eventually.
Yeah, it'll get there.
Out here, sudden oak death is a concern. It's killing a lot of the tan oaks, live oaks. It's a fungus that's been introduced from, I think, Asia or somewhere.
We're having the same
That's not
problem.
good.
We're having the same problem with beech trees here. It's a bark fungus of some sort. It's killing all the beeches. And the thing of it is, by the time you realize the beech tree is dead, it's already rotted.
Yeah.
It's just rotten. It's terrible. At least with the ash borer beetle, the beetle eats the cambium out between the bark and the tree, and when the tree dies, it'll stand a long time before it starts to rot. So you don't have to grab it right away. But the ash tree, the beech trees that are dying, by the time you realize they're dead, they're already brittle and breaking over.
I sometimes think I should just cut down all my tan oak and sell it all before it dies from sudden oak death on the coast property.
Or cut it up and just store it somewhere until the price comes up.
Yeah, it'd be for firewood. We can get a good price for it here on the coast.
I got you.
Firewood.
I see Craig's on. How you doing, Craig? Kilted Sawyer has joined us. Yeah, Andy says ash doesn't sucker from the root. Like, no, but we were talking about elm trees, Andy. I think I looked it up, and elms sprout off the root from a stump to start a new forest. I think they were talking about that down in the Smoky Mountains there, that there's stumps left behind when from logging elm years ago. And the sprouts are still coming up from the roots from them elms they logged 100 years ago.
Huh. I did not know that.
Do they do that when they're still alive, like the aspen do, all around a live tree, send up shoots?
I would imagine they do. I don't know for sure. I just know the program I saw that talked about elm. It said that trees that were cut 100 years ago up in the Smoky Mountains still have suckers growing up off the roots of those trees.
I don't know.
I would imagine mostly Douglas fir, because that's what's mostly being harvested and used in the area. I'm not sure what they're doing with those big chip piles in Coos Bay.
Hey, John.
Hey,
That question that you asked 8-Ball about the cutest Sawyer,
yeah.
we had one of our fans here send you a picture. I'm going to put it up. Okay, you ready?
I'm ready.
Okay.
There you go.
Yeah, I know where that came from.
You can thank Sawbucks for that.
Tim, you didn't hear what I said a while ago?
No,
He's the prettiest Sawyer because he's a calendar Sawyer.
oh, Calendar Sawyer.
Remember that?
Yeah, I'm
Yeah,
still gonna do that. You guys are gonna be sorry when I make $1 million selling
$1 million.
We could come up with a calendar for all of us, have all of us on there, one each month.
See, that's what I wanted to do, but nobody wants to do it with me.
Yeah, but you want us to do it in our underwear, John.
No, I just want you to do it in a sexy pose.
Not in our underwear, we'll do it in spandex.
Then, see? I want like Michael Wilson's helmet on his other head. You know what I mean? That would be good, right?
Ooh.
Ooh,
Yeah.
he's not so happy about that one.
See what I mean?
Yep.
Yeah. And the old jarhead's going to be in yoga pants. You know? Yeah.
Oh, Bob. Oh, we got more people want to send in pics.
How many viewers did we just lose in the last few seconds?
Well, we're staying steady at 72, so we're doing good.
All right.
The mountain ash tree in my backyard, beautiful tree. Well, I hope you don't lose it. I surely hope you don't, but it doesn't look good for the ash trees.
I just lost a mountain ash in my front, Rocky Mountain ash tree in my front yard. One of them. The other one's still there.
Chip Bay, Oregon, where raw material.
No spandex. What? Man.
Yeah,
I don't know why.
spandex. I don't know if putting it on us would get more subscriptions, but I don't know. It might.
One
You
way to
better
find
not.
out.
You better not. Your wife keeps threatening if you do it, she's going to leave.
Yeah.
So did you see the channel that everybody's talking about? The one with the girl in the spandex and the big rear end
In Florida.
And yeah,
In
everybody
Florida.
everybody knows what channel that is. But what I found interesting was right now she's having problems getting views and subscribers, and she was saying, did a video about, she was saying she was losing subscribers and losing views, and somebody says, well, you don't have any skill and we've seen everything you have to offer. You know what I mean? So we're moving on. It's just, it was, something that I never thought about. You know what I mean? She's got whatever 300,000 subscribers, and I never thought it would end. But people like, we've seen it, and we're moving on to something else now. So just weird.
But she's
Well,
making
guys.
more money off she's making more money off commercials and ads.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. She's making $50 an hour. Every time she makes a
How
YouTube
much?
video,
Just
$50
talking-
an hour making YouTube videos.
She's
Just
making
talking-
more. She's
just talking
making
about
triple that
spandex.
just on commercials.
Just talking about spandex, we jumped up over 80 views.
See, there we go.
All right. Maybe we need to start wearing spandex.
Easy, gentlemen. Easy.
Telling you,
Easy.
Sexy Sawyer's calendar would be hotter than the fireman's calendar. I'm telling you. You remember that? That was a thing. The fireman's calendar was a thing, right?
I don't think they were firemen, John. I think they just had axes and looked like firemen.
Chippendales, maybe?
Well, I don't know.
Yeah, but we have the looks and we have the channels. We've got it all.
Yeah. And the skill to go behind it.
We
And
got
the skill.
something.
There you go. She only has one pose. Yeah, see, Swamp Sawyer knows who we're talking about.
Now look at us. We're sitting in pitch black darkness right now. Michael's still out there in broad daylight.
I know. I see
Yeah, I'm
that.
getting a shadow though. It's getting darker.
Yep, I'm in darkness here.
What time is it? 7. Yeah, we have another hour of daylight. Good daylight.
Yeah. Our daylight was gone before we even came on.
Yeah.
I'll fill in the plus size for you guys.
Well, we've got all the sizes covered here.
Yeah, absolutely.
Just wait till next month.
We can cover 8 to 80, blind, cripple, and crazy.
What conversation they just tuned in on? Yep.
Does this mean we're about done when we're talking about wearing spandex? This live has run its course.
You guys are still talking about wood, I guess, of some sort.
Oh, God. I can't believe we started talking about spandex and the
Thanks a lot, John.
The views jumped right up there.
See, you guys got to deliver what the viewers want. That's what it is. And the viewers
Anywho, how about oak trees?
Oak.
Anybody have some good oak trees?
oak,
What's your favorite oak?
white.
Well, we just
Burr.
dropped to 77. Thanks, Michael.
All right, give the audience what they want.
Put John back on.
Burrow. See, there's one. We already got one.
If you
sold
don't
right
do spandex, do not do.
there. We already got one calendar sold.
Ugh.
Well, you're $1 closer to your million, John.
Yeah.
Can you sing, Michael?
I can sing, but the question is how good is it going to be?
Well, somebody thinks you ought to sing to your forest.
Maybe I should. I'm too sexy for this land. That one?
Yeah, there you go.
No, what is that? I'm too
I
sexy
don't-
for my chainsaw.
Oh, yeah, I could do a whole song about that. That might not be a bad idea.
Oh, look at there. There's something new for you.
I like the bur oak actually, which is in the white oak family, but the bur oak has a lot prettier grain than the white oak. I think the white
No.
oak's still more expensive, but
I got a question for you, John. 2 years ago, we cut a burl up that had a Sasquatch on the inside. Whatever happened to it?
you're going to be extremely disappointed. So it's air dried, and I was just about to put it in the kiln like next week, right there. So
Yeah.
I haven't looked at it since it's been air drying, and I have one slab that made it. That one,
Really?
probably that one right there. The rest of it, I've never seen. I was just going to tell you about this in this live. I've never seen anything like it. It turned to. It just fell apart. It turned to like dry. It turned to cardboard after it got wet and then dried out, and it was just flaky and just fell apart.
Wow.
There's not a piece in that's bigger than 2 by 2 inches by 2 inches that's left. Everything fell apart except for that one slab is holding together, and I don't know for how long that'll work.
Oh my
But
goodness.
something about that when that burl dried, it dried like no other wood I've ever seen, before at all.
Was it like a cubicle rot where when the rotted wood shrunk, it cracked into a bunch of pieces?
Nope. It was more like a dry, I don't know, a dry sponge that's fallen apart. You know what I mean? I don't know if you've ever can get a dry sponge that dry, but if you could, that's what it was. It just turned to powder,
Wow.
and all but like an inch or 2 inch in places around the outside, all just turned to powder. That whole burl just turned to powder. I have one
Identical.
slab that's still a little bit left.
Identical to over kiln dried poplar.
Probably. Yeah, I mean, I can imagine
just
that.
Crumbles.
Yeah. And it was something about that. It was a hard maple, but it was something about that burl that it just didn't like.
Huh.
And I'm going to try and save that one Bigfoot piece, out of it. I think I can still save it, put it in the mill, but it was air drying. They were all air drying. It was 2 levels of the stack, so it wasn't like I dried some of it in this area and some of it in this area and did it wrong. You know what I mean? It was side by side with the others, and they all fell apart except for that one.
Was that kiln dried or air dried? It fell apart.
That's just air dried so far. I'm
Just
putting it in the kiln. Hopefully, I'm putting it in the kiln. It's been air drying for 2 years now.
Yeah.
Has it been 2 years? Wow.
It's been 2 years, hasn't it? Yeah.
Somebody
Wow.
just said that.
Yep.
Now
And-
we got one guy that buys wood from us. He uses what he calls a wood stabilizer on wood that's punky. You ever heard of that?
Yep. And I should have, but it's too late now.
Ram Ranch. I don't even know what Ram Ranch is.
Doesn't sound good.
Maybe it's directed at the spandex or something.
Yeah, he's probably still in the spandex.
You ever heard of bristle cones, Michael?
Yep, some of the oldest trees there are. Interesting thing about the Great Basin in the desert, you can be out in the arid desert, go up in the mountains, and you find forests. I have an upcoming video about that one of these days.
Somebody just mentioned it. 3,000-year-old bristle cones.
Yep.
Well, that would
They're
be
not big enough or straight enough to make very good lumber, but they are old.
Well, just the fact that something lives that long is almost magical. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean, we had a maple die in my yard that's over 150 years old, and we took the dead part down and sawed it into lumber. But that's wood that's been around from the time of the Civil War.
That white fir I cut down in recent videos.
Yes.
My dad was thinking it was probably going to be like another one he cut down, not far from it. That other one was about 500 years old, he estimated.
Wow.
But the one I cut down it had wide growth rings. It wasn't so old. And the redwoods not far from here, they're over 1,000 years old.
Yeah.
The old growths.
Just amazing.
Even the third growth they're logging now, it comes from trees, stumps that were well over 1,000 years old.
Yeah. It's just amazing something's been around that long, you know.
Yeah. I can't even imagine.
If somebody buys those slabs we made out of that dead maple, they're all spalted, but they make a coffee table or something out of it. That coffee table saw the Civil War, you know. It's just amazing to me.
Complete with a bullet.
Complete with a bullet.
If trees could talk, huh?
Yeah.
Oh my God. I'd like
I've
to hear what
seen
that.
huge rounds that they've taken out of a big redwood, and then it has little pins on it. It says, this is when the Civil War was, this is when this happened, this is Jesus Christ, this is way back.
Wow.
Huh.
Well, that maple I took down, I found a round ball embedded in it. And a round ball is
Civil War era.
Civil War era, you know. So that was pretty cool.
I hate to hear what that tree said about that you found the screw in.
Yeah. That was insane. I've never seen a tree with a 5/8 bolt almost all the way through it.
If I'm not mistaken, those bristlecone pines might be the oldest known living organism.
Really?
I'm not 100% on that.
Huh.
See, I've never heard of any of this stuff. I'm learning stuff all the time.
Yeah.
9-year-old.
Oh.
Bristle.
I think the oldest species of tree is the ginkgo. There's a ginkgo that's over 1 million years old. The species,
Wow.
not an individual tree, but that species has been around that long.
That's crazy. Oh,
So, what's the craziest thing you guys found in a tree so far? Who wants to go first?
John.
What?
John found some spandex in one.
No, he found Sasquatch.
Yeah, I found Sasquatch.
With spandex on.
Yeah.
I'm cutting on my remote property where there hasn't been a lot of human activity. I haven't found any real artifacts, an occasional bullet. That's about it. Fence wire, nothing really crazy.
I found a horseshoe in one tree. I'm thinking somebody either hung it on a limb or put it in a crotch, and it grew into the tree. And I hit about a 6-inch cobblestone in the middle of a maple tree. the cobblestone destroyed the blade on my circle mill.
I bet. Nails and wire is about the most I've ever found.
No, you had some screws in a tree.
Yes, some screws.
Eye bolts, weren't they?
Yeah.
But you just cut them right out of there. John?
Yeah, I mean, you find the eye bolts and stuff, but the coolest thing was probably the bullet. You know, that you just saw it. I just sawed it right in half.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it's exactly in half, and I still got, and there's 3 of them right there in the same spot. You know, I sawed all 3 of them right in half.
Mm.
Somebody was obviously target shooting at that tree or something, but I don't know how I got all 3 of them right in half, but I still got the 2 boards. You know, those 3 that I sawed in half, lead bullets. That was probably the coolest.
I like when I put 9, 10, maybe 12 screws or nails all in together into one. You're sitting there figuring out what the hell is they trying to hold.
Well, that oak tree that I just put a video on cutting the bolt. That's a 5/8 bolt that went almost completely through the tree, and it's at the base. It's at the base of the tree. It couldn't have been more than 2 or 3 inches above the ground. I don't know what somebody was thinking.
Me neither.
I see.
Paul?
Hook your dog to it.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
what somebody said. They tied Chihuahua off to it.
Wall-walls.
Andy says they have a plastic handled paintbrush sticking out of a crotch of a beech tree.
I know where a winch is hanging out of an oak tree. The limb's probably 30 inches round, and the winch cable's probably it was put on there when it was probably 8 inches round. It's a come along.
Yeah.
We used to pull motors out of a vehicle, and we hung it up there, and it's still up there.
Yep.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I bet I know who put it up there.
And that's been 50 years ago.
We're not pointing fingers at anybody or anything.
How many years ago was that? 50?
50 at least.
I think you got me beating age, don't you, Steve?
Nah, I think you're a little ahead of me.
No, I don't think so.
Steve's my age.
Yeah. You're a couple days ahead of me.
I just looked it up. The bristlecone pine is the oldest living non-colonial species on Earth. 4,850 years old, the oldest one.
All right, so you have to back up, Mike, because you used a word that I've never heard before.
Non-colonial. It's not cloned, where you keep cloning something and it keeps propagating. Just a single organism.
Single organism.
I didn't even know that was a word. So how old did you say it was?
4,850 years.
Wow.
5,000 years old.
Can you imagine that?
No.
That
Did you
is,
see what Black Smoke Joe wrote?
6-inch circle saw blade. Half of a log king. A Coke bottle. A full fence post. I got a full fence post with a chainsaw.
yeah. Now, back years ago, I had 3 huge maple trees in my front yard, sugar maple trees. They were over 150 years old, and the power company wanted to take them down because they were grown out so far over the road. And when they took them down, they kept hitting metal. So they wouldn't cut them up. And ended up having to take a loader and just rolling them in the back here. And I set them on fire, and they burned like a cigar. They just kept burning and burning and burning for about 2 weeks. And I found a cable that went the whole length of the tree from the top to the bottom, like a 3/8 cable. And the only thing I can think of is that somebody put lightning rods in those trees to keep lightning from hitting the old house. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Well, they loved lightning rods back then.
Back then they loved lightning rods.
That
Yeah.
had them all over the farms and the barns and everything.
Well, the cables ran the whole length of the tree from top to bottom, just straight down the tree, right to the bottom of it. And it was like a 3/8 heavy steel cable that was just wrapped, twisted. I first thing that came to mind was they put lightning rods in those trees because they weren't far from the house.
Same thing I can think of.
I think the electric company just dropped one of them lines there and it just fell to the ground and stayed in the top.
Yeah. I don't know. All right, guys. So we're up on 10:30. What do you say we shut this thing down?
Yeah, before it gets dark at Michael's.
Yeah, I'm losing daylight here.
Yeah.
It gets dark and Michael, we're in trouble.
Well, we've had a really good night. We've had a really good night, guys. We've had a lot of people join us tonight, and we appreciate everybody that joined us. And the next one will be the third Saturday of next month, and we'd like to see everybody come back. Anybody else got anything they want to say before we close it down?
Did you get anybody to talk on X yet?
I have not seen anybody.
I haven't seen anything come up on X.
If you're on X, just talk. At least next month talk. We'll make it next month talk. Talk on X.
Well, you tried it, didn't you, John? It came through?
Yeah, it comes through. It works.
Yeah,
I was on there chatting.
I did it too. It came through, so they can chat.
Just they won't. Huh.
Craig,
The quick answer to Paul Adams' question: yes, we've all had problems with Yellow Jackets. They are evil.
They will let you know they still live here.
the Yellow
Thanks.
Jacket. And we
Thanks,
have,
Craig. Thank you. I
We
might be
have
the
white-
sexiest Sawyer.
we have white-faced hornets here too that build big paper nests that look like a basketball hanging in a tree.
Paper bags.
They can be even meaner than Yellow Jackets.
Yes, they are.
They call them bald-faced hornets here.
Yeah, they call them white-faced hornets here, but they are nasty.
Yep.
They're just plain nasty. All right, guys, we're going to shut it down. We appreciate everybody that showed up tonight, and thank you for making this successful. We really appreciate it. Michael,
You're welcome.
we'll catch you on the next one, I hope. Steve, thanks for coming along. John, Tim, I'm glad you can make it.
Oh, yeah, always. Me too.
I'm glad you can make it, man.
I'm just kind of like the fill-in guy.
All right, guys, hang in there for just a second.
All right, folks. See you
Thanks,
later.
Jeremy.